Booyaka, booyaka! What up, friends and relatives? This is your boy Mongo Slade. Today is very random. I come out of I come out of nowhere with this. I am here today to do a TNA wrestling watch along. We're gonna do Lockdown 2006, the very first TNA pay per view I ever bought on DVD. Now, I'm watching this on YouTube, so there's going to be a lot of disruptions, but this ought to be fun. You're going to get a chance to watch an April 2006 TNA wrestling show. And, you know, ah, sometimes TNA is feels good to watch. Now it feels like a good TNA time. After watching so much of modern day Ring of Honor and WWE, kind of mix things up a little bit. WrestleMania burned me out on WWE, to be quite honest. I don't see how I'm gonna get through SmackDown. Hopefully it's good. I don't see how I'm gonna get through SmackDown, but we'll see. But thanks everybody for stopping through. We're gonna get in on this thing. We're gonna start it like 5 minutes after, and we're just gonna run to the end. I'll give you guys my thoughts on the various things about TNA from 2006. I haven't seen this show in a long time, so I don't remember what's on it. We're gonna give everybody a couple of minutes to come in. Uh, Hunter Iggy, the magnificent Mongo Slave. What's up? What up, everybody? How is everybody doing? Thank you very much. Now that my birthday has passed, what are my new goals in life? I want to get healthier. You know, um, every year I don't feel like I've gotten any older. I think I stopped feeling older at like 30. But now I'm almost 10 years past that, and it's certainly starting to feel like it on the inside. You know, headaches more often. You know, not sleeping enough, that kind of thing. So I want to get healthier. Clearly, I mean, obviously, you want to make more money, go further in your career. You know, which something I actually did do this year. I want to get more into investing. Um, I definitely want to get more into investing. I'm actually looking at Endeavor right now with their stock price being only like $22, just jumping in and buying a couple of shares of that because I know it's probably going to jump up once WWE really gets rolling on it. Um, you know, I just want to get better at all the things that I do, all the little things that I do. I want to get better at it. I also want to help more people. I think I have a lot of goals. I actually want to publish one of my stories. I may actually self-publish something this year. Now that I have a little bit of disposable income, might want to take some of that money, actually pay for like an artist or something like that to do a book cover and actually publish something, or send something to an editor and let them, eviscerate it. Just to see what's good and what's what. I don't know. I have a lot of different things. All right, so we're going to start the TNA show in about 90 seconds. Um, I haven't seen this show in forever, so I don't know exactly what's on it. But I will hope everybody is willing to jump in and join with me. I if you don't know, the show is actually on YouTube. Um, so if you wanted to watch TNA Lockdown, the full pay per view is on YouTube. All right, let's go. All right, TNA. They have an iconic entrance with all the different wrestlers and stuff. It's very flashy. It might give you a seizure. You know, um, I always liked TNA, but only a little bit. Like I didn't really like the weekly product, but I did like some of their pay per view events. I love some TNA matches are my favorites. So some of my but TNA had the same problem that AEW has, and that's they picked so many guys straight from the indies, and they didn't change them or do anything new with them. They just kind of threw them right on TV and say, "Hey, look, here's these guys that we got, and here it is." But TNA really got my attention when Christian jumped over. Like I was already watching TNA before um, Christian joined, but it really got my attention when Christian jumped over. That's when I realized this is, you know, these guys are playing, they're playing for keeps. Because Christian was bubbling at the time. I had really just got back into wrestling right as Christian left, because I think that was WrestleMania 21. Was that? Oh, it was 20. Yeah, because that's when he Christian had the triple threat match with Jericho and John Cena for the WWE title, and Christian had cut the promo at Backlash and talking about Triple H's nose and everything. And next thing you know, he was getting powerbombed by Batista and just killed by both Batista and John Cena. Then he was on his way out to TNA. I think that was in '05 though. In any event, I really took them seriously when Christian jumped. You know, for me, it wasn't quite the Scott Hall moment. It wasn't quite that, but I was a big fan of Christian, and I really enjoyed Christian's work. So I was really involved when Christian jumped ship. I was like, yeah, this is good. Uh, Prince Ali says, "What was the moment you realized WWE isn't good anymore?" Well, considering I had that moment multiple times, it's hard to say when it first started. Most recently, I think it would be probably 2016 when I was just kind of like, yeah, this, you got to watch this stuff and with a with a sense of humor. If you watch wrestling seriously, I see why you wouldn't watch it anymore. If you watch this shit and you have fun with it, you laugh at it, you make jokes, you know, then yeah, wrestling can always be fun because it's always. Look, here's the secret about wrestling YouTubers and stuff like that. There's always fresh content. Always fresh content. So that means always stuff happening. But the problem is when it comes to, like, if you run like a newsletter, it's not enough news. There's not enough news. There's constantly shows. There's shows every Monday. Shows every Tuesday. Shows every Wednesday. Shows every Thursday. Shows every Friday. There's no shortage of wrestling content out there. You can find something that you would like if you're a wrestling fan. Now, if you have no interest in the genre at all, I can see why you would, you know. But you asked about WWE, so I think 2016 did it when I was just kind of like, yeah, this shit ain't working. But I think it's SmackDown 2016 because I wasn't a big fan of it. I was just kind of like, yeah, I'm no good. And then that's when like years would go by and I wouldn't really pay too much attention to who was on the show or who the champion was or any of that stuff. Like, look at TNA right here. They have a Team Japan. They don't individualize any of these people. I don't know who this guy is. Let me turn my captioning on. They say Team Japan is Black Tiger, Minoru Tanaka, and Hiroki Goto. Or so Hiroki Goto. I actually know who he is, but this is 2006. I don't recognize him. He must be the guy with the flag. Oh no, wait, is the guy in the jacket Hiroki Goto? No, it's the guy with the flag. I was right the first time. Versus Team TNA, which consists of Sanjay Dutt, Jay Lethal, and Alex Shelley. And they all just, oh boy, we're in for one here. This is definitely a classic TNA opener. A bunch of people with nothing to do with each other, but they're all small and they're about to come in here and do a bunch of flips and dives and jump all over the place. Not my favorite thing about TNA, I can tell you that much. But back to what Prince Ali asked me. I gave up on wrestling when I was, I don't know, 15, 16, somewhere around WrestleMania 2000. I was just kind of like, even though I was kind of falling off in 99. When I was a kid, I didn't have cable. I would go to my friend's house and watch wrestling. I told that story before. When I was a teenager and I didn't have cable, I didn't even feel the need to go to my friend's house and watch wrestling anymore. It just, and this was at the height of its popularity. And I felt like it was becoming more cliche and more contrived because I was seeing wrestlers everywhere. And I just wasn't that engaged in the product. I just wasn't engaged. So I kind of, Triple H didn't help. I was never a big fan of Triple H. I became more of a fan of Triple H when I came back than when I was coming up. Um, but I think 2015, 2016 is when I was like, yeah. But it noticeably emotionally detached for me with the end of the streak because I was like, okay, Undertaker's finished. Because I was like, him and Shawn Michaels were two of the guys that I definitely was still, you know, they were. It was easy to get back in because at the very least, I wanted to see what Undertaker was doing. At the very least, I wanted to see what Shawn was doing. But once they were gone, I was like, look, I ain't that attached to Randy Orton. I ain't that attached to John Cena. I don't really care about those dudes. Like, it's nice to know what they're doing if they're doing something cool. Otherwise, I don't care. You know, they having a tag match inside this cage. They're actually tagging. What the fuck? What is this? Um, I wish I read dirt sheets because I want to know what is the idea behind every match needs to be in a cage. Why? Why does every match need to be in a cage? Um, I don't understand that. Why does every match need to be in a cage? Whose idea was this? This was before Dixie Carter took over. So whose idea was this? Was it Jarrett? I think Vince Russo was like floating around this time. But I don't think he had like the book. Was this like Dutch Mantel's idea or something? Uh, I don't know. Maybe I should have looked it up. But this is all pretty random. I really just picked an April 2000. April TNA pay per view to watch, and this is one. This is the one. And I was like, oh yeah, I remember this event because at least I remember the main event. Which I mean, well, the Lethal Lockdown match. What's up, Special J? Ninja says, "Did I hear that the Nose Man wants to push Chad Gable?" I read that and I instantaneously was like, I hope Vince does take back over. I hope Vince takes back over. But then I saw what matches and stuff was produced for SmackDown, and I was like, yeah, Vince ain't take over. You know, they're doing Jay versus Sammy. They still on that story. Yeah, Vince ain't come back yet because the Usos are still there. And now, Vince loved the Usos, but he's continuing the Sami Zayn Usos story. You know, I think when I googled this show because I need to know what TNA pay per view was in April. Um, when I googled this show, it said the attendance was 900. And that means 900 people are in this building. That's sad. It's truly sad. It's probably more people in that building right now than it is in TNA buildings today. That's for damn sure. Bennett X100 says he went away from wrestling at 16 too, came back 2014, 2015. Yeah, I think if you come back to wrestling, it's with you. There's a lot of people leave. They very rarely come back. But the people, you got to take a sabbatical. Like I've never met a super fan that, never missed anything. And even me, I have these lapses in years where I say like, from like, again, WrestleMania lost the numbers. I completely don't remember anything. Like somebody reminded me, through the many debates and many arguments online that Roman Reigns actually was built up to be a superstar, and he actually lost to Brock Lesnar in the main event of WrestleMania. And I had forgotten all about that. Like that is true. I think it was WrestleMania 32, wasn't it? Because he wrestled Undertaker at 31, and that was the main event. So I think he challenged for the title at WrestleMania 32, and he lost. And they were like, "Oh, Vince has given up on Roman Reigns, and it's not going to work." You know how people are, man. It's really weird, but I didn't remember that because those are my lost years. As much as I loved the Shield and I liked Dean Ambrose and I liked Roman at the time and I liked Seth Rollins, I was not religiously following the product. I watched it every Monday, every Friday or Thursday or Tuesday, whenever it was, but I wasn't religiously following it. You know, You know, you said it was WrestleMania 34. See, that's the thing. I don't even remember. Like, there is that. It was weird. Like, cause I think 31 is the push. It's a push button. That's when the heist of the century occurred. So and 32 was Undertaker, and 33 was what? Um, I don't know. A lot of people are just making a big deal about Cody losing, not really understanding that that is how you tell a story, and that your emotional investment in Cody's story needs to be teased a little bit. I know that when you talk to people, like I saw a lot of people still trying to, I don't know. They said like, okay, well, they've shown pictures of like Goldberg and Batista, like, oh, these guys didn't have to wait. Like, but Batista was 35. Batista was 35 and had no real history of wrestling, and we didn't know how long Batista was going to hang around. But also, they sent Batista ass to SmackDown once he got the belt. He wasn't the draw that they wanted him to be. They sent him to SmackDown. He was still a top guy, but he wasn't what they wanted him to be because they only really started pushing him in January or December or something like that. Like he wasn't being pushed like Cody was being pushed, you know. But the story was there for Batista to win, and he won, which was great. It was a great moment, But WrestleMania 21 is nobody's favorite pay per view except mine. That's all these people who are trying to use Batista as some kind of great example. It's like you guys hate Batista. Nobody rates Batista's WrestleMania win as being an excellent moment in history. It's just a convenient thing that you guys point to. But I love the Batista Triple H stuff, and that actually warmed me up with Triple H. Yeah, the Wyatt and Shield 6-man tags were phenomenal. Those were really good. I really like those joints. I was a big fan of the Wyatt family. I did like the Wyatt family. I was just always a big fan of Bray Wyatt because I was a big fan of the character and what the character could do. I wasn't watching NXT at the time, but I was a big fan of what the character could do. Why is Shocker here? I guess it's a Team Mexico. Oh, okay. This is what is this, like the X Division Cup or something like that? One of those silly X Cups or Grand Slam World Tournaments or whatever the fuck. I don't know why wrestling companies insist on doing this stuff, but they insist on bringing in a bunch of people who nobody knows onto their pay-per-views to work the undercards, and then giving them a ton of time. Like, I can't believe this match is still on. This match is a good maybe 10 minutes already. Probably not 10 minutes. Probably like 6 or 7. It just feels like it's been on for a long time already. But yeah, that's kind of why I stopped. But to go back to the Cody thing, you can get people invested in the story, and if you'd have given them the catharsis and Cody wins, now you have to ask the question, what do you do? And that's a good question. Where do you go from here? You beat the final boss. How do you continue the game? Well, he could have still feuded with Brock. Come on. It's just be real. Let's be real here. It's far more dramatic for him to not have beaten Roman and wrestled Brock than, you already shown him that he's a giant slayer and a giant killer, and now he's going to go in here. And plus, it makes the Brock challenge a little bit more dangerous because now we know that Cody could possibly lose. Before, if you just show that Cody's unbeatable because he's going to beat everybody. Okay, sure, there is always going to be the Brock issue that Brock can always beat people, but you pretty much say, hey, we didn't put Roman over Brock 3 times or 4 times or however many times it's been. And then we just had Cody, put him down. We expect Cody to beat Brock. I still expect Cody to beat Brock, but I expect Cody to go through something. I expect him to go through it. Like really take the beatings, get his ass kicked, get thrown around, get tested. But the audience The real audience, not these idiots online, they understand what's going on. And eventually everybody will get excited and they'll come around. It you know you will never get that moment again. You'll never get that WrestleMania moment again. The moment of Cody uh undefeated against Roman. You'll never get that again because you can't redo that. But you will get a different moment, you know? And different moments can be made and different stories can be told. And that's not the one they wanted to cash in on. Like I think people who said like, look, Cody came in, he worked for what 3 months. He got injured in what May. He got injured in May or June or something like that, and then was out until January. So that means he'd have came back, been on the roster technically a year, but wouldn't have been on TV a year and would have won the title. That's something that TNA would do. That's definitely something TNA would do. You know, I could definitely understand why WWE wouldn't do it. Even though I'm one of those people that was puzzled by Cody not winning. But when you realize that, like Ninja is saying, you know, this is exactly how his dad would have booked it. You know, the Horseman Steel one, and then Big Dust has got to come back. He got cheated. You know, he got to make the comeback. You know, now I think somebody says here that he's going to win the title at SummerSlam. I wouldn't say SummerSlam. I wouldn't be surprised if it's SummerSlam, but I wouldn't say SummerSlam. I don't know. You know, I think SummerSlam in Detroit, that would be fun. It would be a huge stadium. The crowd's still with Cody. You know, he didn't really lose anything. You didn't get that moment. You got a different moment. You got a moment you didn't expect, which is that Roman won and deflated the audience. And if you're being honest, that was really the problem. Now there were still people in the audience who was very, very happy that Roman won because Roman had fans too, and people are like, you got to send the fans home happy. There's still Roman fans out there, people who don't want to see the bloodline end, people who don't want to see the bloodline suffer. Oh, the match is over. Oh, okay, all right. Uh, I don't know. I don't understand what the point of this match was, but I'm just glad it's over. There's a bunch of small guys running real fast in this ring. Team Japan wins. Congratulations, Team Japan. I'm sure all the money you made on this match, you will be able to buy yourself a Sprite or something. Bennett 100. I think they messed up Austin Theory because Austin Theory was a move they could have used Money in the Bank to cash in on Cody, but that story got wrong. That was something I was going to bring up, the whole Austin Theory thing, that maybe he could have been the one thing Cody was not prepared for, and that been the reason why he lost. Or even they pulled a reverse heist of the century where, the Usos come out there and, they're prepared for him. Solo Sikoa comes back. Cody fights him off. And Cody looks like he's got the match won. Then Austin Theory runs down to the ring with the briefcase. He cashes it in. And Roman ends up pinning Austin Theory to get out of the match. Like that would have been a wild finish to the match. Roman still would have won. Cody still would have lost, but they would have done something to get out of that situation that would have prevented Cody from taking a loss. But I don't mind it the way that they did. Sabu and Samoa Joe. This is the one match on this show that I did remember, and I remember this was the match that really made me like TNA. Christian and Abyss. Oh no, I'm not a fan of this though. I've never been a big fan of Abyss. This Lethal Lockdown match was always fun though. Sting, R-Truth, AJ Styles, and Rhino versus Scott Steiner, America's Most Wanted, and Jeff Jarrett. I like the idea of America's Most Wanted and Jeff Jarrett. They kind of fit, even though they give me Southern Justice vibes when they hang around with Jeff Jarrett. But I always thought they fit. Don West, excellent. so much energy. Even if he wasn't, your style, the energy for Don West was always great. TNA action figures look pretty decent. They got some decent looking action figures. I don't think they may even have Impact action figures today. Team 3D, which is quite possibly the laziest name in all of wrestling. They can't use the Dudley Boys because WWE owns the name. So they call themselves Team 3D. And Bubba Ray Dudley is massive. He is a big, big dude. He's got to be like 380 pounds here. He's a big guy. Ask me what I think about Bubba Ray Dudley. What do you think about Bubba Ray Dudley? He's a big guy. He's wearing a flannel shirt. I've never been a big fan of Spike Dudley, though. He sucks. He's a bump machine. That's all he's really good for. Devon, kind of in the middle. I was always a big fan of Bubba, though, because he could cut promos. He's really good at that. They're about to fight Team Canada. Quite possibly one of the worst stables in wrestling. I know that a lot of people think highly of Team Canada. I don't know why, but Team Canada eating TNA is what made this company what it is today. Just Scott D'Amore running the company, Eric Young, Jesus Christ. The only one with any talent really was Robert Roode, and it took him a while to really develop and to break out of that shell. The scar tissue from Devon's head is awful. I mean, just look at the divots in his head, for Christ's sake. This is Spike Dudley fresh off of his Big Boss Spike days when he was actually the boss of the Dudley Boys, which is actually an interesting little twist. Hey, it's Larry Zbyszko. I haven't seen him in forever. You look like a car dealer. You're like about to sell you a used car. What? Jeremy Borash is there with no tie. It was so formal. He was so informal in TNA back in those days. It's still kind of informal today, though. What's going on here? Oh, this is Christopher Daniels. What's about to happen? I never was a big fan of Christopher Daniels, even though I did like some of his matches. I just felt like he was a guy that was missing something, and that he was shaped like a human penis. That also didn't help matters. The fact that he looked like a walking, talking penis didn't help matters at all. But I always respected Christopher Daniels, his athletic ability. What is my thoughts on Vince returning to creative control? I don't believe he is returning to creative control. I think that he's going to do essentially, because look, you have to understand, there's a lot of bureaucracy in WWE. They said that Triple H was still head of creative, and that Bruce Pritchard is still the boss of creative. So Bruce pitches ideas to Triple H. What is the point of Bruce or Triple H if Vince is going to write the show? You're just paying people to be there at that point. So I don't think that that's going to be the case. But I do think he wants to know what's going to happen on the show. Like he says, this is his passion, is what he wants. He certainly want to know what's happening on the show. He certainly want to have input. But I don't think he's going to be the chief creative driver behind the show. I don't believe that. Okay, so apparently there was a mystery opponent for Christopher Daniels, and it's Low Ki. And this is an internal story because this is after Triple X. And that's very cool. Low Ki is an interesting case when it comes to wrestling. Because he's very talented, very stiff, but he's small and he's a dick head. Like he's a guy who I wish would have become something more, but he couldn't get out of his own way. Like Kaval was never going to work. Like that was never going to work out. But I did like that. He's got a very interesting voice. Like if wrestling was like if he was doing like a cartoon, I would want his voice. But I don't think it would have worked in WWE simply because of his size. Kudos to him for trying, though. He tried. It's just that he couldn't get through what Danielson was able to get through. Some people just don't have the temperament, and I feel like he certainly didn't have the temperament. But I've seen some really horrible shit from Low Ki and like Ring of Honor and stuff with him stiffing guys and beating the shit out of dudes, and you just be saying like, how did he get away with all that shit for so long? And nobody tried to kill him. You know, he's a tremendous talent though. They're having a good one right now. See, there's story to this match. It started out as a regular old mystery opponent. But if you know about Triple X, which you should, because this is TNA internal story, not external story of some shit that happened somewhere else. These two were partners in TNA for a long time. And now they're, opponents. And you got Low Ki going by a different name and Sin Shi, which is supposed to denote, I guess, a different personality or a different view, philosophy, so that they can't play on the friendship, but these are two just generic looking guys. They're both skinny and bald. The only difference is that you could tell that Low Ki is who he is, because he is very aggressive. He's super aggressive. And that's the thing, like, even today, when you watch like some of the matches that Low Ki was in, he's good at his stuff. He lays his shit in. And I can always appreciate that. He's the kind of guy that you certainly would want on the roster if his mind was in the right place. Like, could you imagine like Low Ki and Ilya Dragunov, or Low Ki and JD McDonough, or Low Ki and Walter or Gunter or whatever? And like today, the way Low Ki likes to lay shit in and be stiff, it would have been great. But he also would have bitched and whined and complained and stiffed somebody else or some other dumb shit, and it wouldn't have worked out. But it's just too bad he never really got the hang of it. When he finally did get the hang of the character part, like when he started dressing like the Hitman, like that was cool too. I even enjoyed that. But he was one of these guys where his ego just got in the way. He just couldn't turn it around. Can't. It's sad. Sad to think, but it's interesting. Christopher Daniels being like the head of the talent liaison in AEW right now, being like the point guy for the talent, the voice for the talent. That's great and all, unless you're Jonathan Gresham. Then it's not so great. It's not so awesome at that point. When you would like to have a conversation with your boss one-on-one and you can't get a hold of him, that's no good. But they're having a pretty good match here, man. Shit. They're chopping kind of hard though. And the thing about it, you would think this TNA audience would be a little bit more excited for this, because they should know who this guy is, but it's almost as if they do have a different audience now than when, Low Ki was there last time. When they were doing Sports Entertainment Extreme and Triple X and all the porn and all that kind of shit that Vince Russo was dumping into the product. Which, it's odd that Vince Russo is like, what did he say about that somebody needs to be more sexy? Who was it? I think, was it Rhea Ripley? Did he say he needs to be more sexy? It's like, I don't know. We want to put her in a shark cage and let her strip tease. I don't know if that's probably the right move, Vince Russo. But I think he's a different guy today. I would imagine he is. He would have to be. He's 50, 60 something. But he did put women in shark cages and, had them dancing on a wrestling show. He did come up with the name TNA, which is, foolish. And the fact that Jarrett kept it for so long is humorous, especially since nowadays he's so against it. That was humorous. That's foolish. I can't believe Jerry Jarrett let him do it. Says Jerry was an investor in this thing. I can't believe 4 years later it's still called TNA. They wouldn't actually change it until like what 2013 or something like that, 2012, when the Owl took over. Can't believe it was still called TNA. That's just nutty. It's just crazy. They're actually utilizing a bear hug here. I'm very surprised at this. But it's simple storytelling because Low Ki has been kicking him in the rib cage and in the chest. So wrapping and constricting his breathing around the chest area actually makes sense narratively. It actually makes narrative sense. Everything with Low Ki looks like it hurts. And part of it is Christopher Daniels selling. But part of it is also how much force Low Ki puts behind these kicks, and especially his kicks, really, and his chops. The crowd's starting to wake up. Good. They're out here. They're out here doing it. Hopefully, you guys are doing okay. I know it was a bit of a surprise for a lot of you. You're like, wait a minute. Nobody told me about a watch along. That's why you need to pay attention. That's why you need to pay attention. Oh, see, that was a nice little spot right there where Low Ki threw that clothesline. He threw it with a lot of force and just trusted Christopher Daniels to move. Look at how they do it today, where they'll throw that clothesline in slow motion and then you can duck it with like 100% accuracy. You know, when you're well trained in wrestling, you know not to blow spots, you know, or, you know, if you blow the spot, you might lose your head, you know, because he's coming. He's bringing that damn clothesline. What was that? All right, STO. I haven't seen one of those in a long time. There's somebody in the crowd with orange hair. That's weird. That's something you would see today, and that's something I would expect to see in 2006. Well, girls were girls and men were men. You know. Oh shit, my mouth dry. I should have got some water or something. I wasn't thinking about it. I tell you, this stuff was completely spur of the moment. I certainly should have got some water or something. But it's too late now, and it's not even an hour into the show, so we about to be here for a bit. 2 hours and 49 minutes. So about 2 hours and 50 minutes of Impact watch along. Ought to be fun. You know, these two guys are having a really good match right now. I really, and it helps that I know, you know, about the background between these two guys. I know about Triple X. I don't know a lot about it, but I know enough. I know that America's Most Wanted caused them to break up, and Elliot Skipper was the third member of Triple X. I think he's in a different match on this show though. Oh shit, that was a really nice shotgun drop kick. He is really laying these drop kicks in. These kicks is just he's not taking no break when it comes to laying these joints in. No break. He ain't cutting Christopher Daniels no slack at all. They also moving very slowly. Like they're selling. Like these guys are in a match. They're in a fight, and they're selling it. You know, they're getting up kind of fast, but they're selling it. Even visually selling it. Like Low Ki was selling like frustration in his face. He was, intensity in his face. Like it is kind of cartoonish because he's not like very well trained at this, but he knows it's a part of the job, and you can look at it and tell that he actually knows that body language is a part of the job. When you look at wrestlers today, especially in AEW, you would think body language was not part of the job at all. You know, you think you just hold a body part and that's selling. It's like that's not what selling is. BME, best moonsault ever, and he kicked out. Le epic match in the second match. Le epic match. We kicking out of finishers in the second match. Oh, good lord. Oh boy. This is good though. And they actually trying to put over Low Ki. He's probably going to lose this match. They're just trying to put him over a little bit before we end it. because they do have history between the two of them. I don't see why this match needs to have a cage either, but we are already off that tip right now. What was this supposed to be? Um, oh snap! What? What's the snap? Uh, they holding on to the cage. You got to do a try superplex. Everything is kicked. You said you never watched TNA. Well, lucky you that they're starting to post a lot of their library on their YouTube account. They've gotten up whole episodes of Impact. They've got whole pay-per-views up. I like watching old TNA. It's a good palate cleanser. Well, watching old WWE and old TNA and old WCW and stuff like that can be very fun. I'm more nostalgic than anything. But I give stuff credit. Like I think I did like this show upon first watch. Oh, nice. A kind of a downward spiral there by Christopher Daniels. Because I actually bought this on DVD. The first time I ever came across a TNA DVD, it was like a 2-for-1 kind of thing. And I got this, and I believe it was it Against All Odds? Because only 2 TNA. I got 4 or 5 TNA DVDs. I don't have a lot. I got the Raven DVD, the Jeff Jarrett 4-disc DVD, and I got the Low Key One by Cheating. That was a good finish. That was a really good finish. He countered the Angel's Wings by putting his feet on the ropes. This is really good. That was a really good match. Got to give these boys credit. Lord Cosmo. Yeah, at the time I was only watching WWE. Ruthless Aggression was my generation. I know some people might call me a WWE fanboy and not a real wrestling fan. Here's the thing, though. Who cares? Ultimately, like, I remember when I used to gatekeep rap music. I used to be like, man, everybody want to listen to Tupac and Biggie. Like, yeah. At the same time, though, I think that the genre is broad enough that people, find certain rappers that they like and they stick to it. They just stick to their lane. And I think wrestling is the same way. There's a lot of different wrestling. There's a lot of shit that I'm not gonna waste my time watching because I don't like it, or I already know I don't like it, or I, have no access to it or whatever. But there's a lot of wrestling that I enjoy, just differently. Like I like watching Lucha Libre. It's different. But I want Lucha Libre to be Lucha Libre. It's like baked goods. Some people like pie, some people like cake, some people like brownies. It's kind of like that, So you're perfectly fine if you just watch WWE because most people only watch WWE. It's Bullet Bob, Billy, and what the hell were they calling him in this? But this is Road Dogg. I forgot Bullet Bob Armstrong. They're about to have a strap match from what it sounds like. That's an old school Southern wrestling thing. Is they calling him Jesse James here? What are they calling Road Dogg here? I don't know. I got the same rap for hip hop when I would listen to different genre like pop and rock. You're right. Who cares? I know I don't anymore. Yeah, nobody really should care. Ultimately, people are gonna have individual tastes about things. Most people like WWE because it's easily accessible. It's a product that they've seen growing up. They had people play the video games. Everybody knows what WrestleMania is. It's just you got to get in the weeds a little bit to know about Impact or Ring of Honor and all that kind of stuff. But it's fine. If you never watched any of that shit before, it's not like you living a less than fulfilling life. Oh, it's the original LAX, not so this fucking rules. Conan and Homicide. This is back when Homicide was actually good. He's so washed today, it's embarrassing. Conan, Homicide, and Hernandez, they were so much fun. This was Conan at the top of his game, though. He was really good here. So they are about to have a strap match. So okay, so the storyline of this, if I remember correctly, is that Conan has split away from Road Dogg and R-Truth. They were three. They were a trio. I forget what they called themselves. Trio? No, it was a Three Live Crew. I think they called themselves. And Conan split away because he didn't like Billy Gunn, so he left the group as Billy Gunn was coming in, and now he's feuding with Road Dogg, and he's been whipping Road Dogg's daddy with straps. So now they're about to have this strap match. And you know how I know that? Because they're showing the video package. And I already knew that. I knew about, Three Live Crew. I knew about that already. But they're showing the video package, and the video package is telling the story. The story that these guys were once friends, but now they're going too far. Conan is still in pretty good physical condition at this point, but he's clearly not Conan. He's clearly not, 10 years prior or anything like that. But Bullet Bob Armstrong was an old man. I'm talking like Bullet Bob Armstrong was a wrestler in the 70s. You know what I'm saying? Like he's gray as hell in this joint. It's really strange to me though. Like when I think about TNA and their success overseas, like in England, and I know that people are telling me like it's because they were on free TV, but look at the kind of booking they were doing. They were booking Bullet Bob Armstrong. It's like, who the hell was that for? What audience was into Bullet Bob Armstrong in 2006? Like, but I think they were doing Chavo Classic and WWE at the same time. Conan with the very sweet Barry Sanders jersey. What up? Viva la raza! He also got a limp right now, which tells me that he's not in good physical condition. He probably shouldn't be here, but he's here anyway. Big ignorant earrings. Oh, this is way before Perk Angle and Black Snow. This is 2006. I don't think Booker T even came in until 2009, 2010 or something like that. Oh, they're doing an arm wrestling match. Okay. All right, so I guess it's the arm wrestling match and the loser gets whipped. Oh, the entire team gets whipped. Yep, that's what they just said it. So if Conan wins the arm wrestling match, Bullet Bob and all those guys get whipped. But this limp is crazy. This is crazy. That limp is nuts. He barely standing up. He got a lean to him. Why is he leaning? It worked for me in 06. You liked Bullet Bob Armstrong in 06? Like, bro, like I was looking at this stuff like, who the hell is booking this? Like, why would you bring Bullet Bob Armstrong? Look, I ain't got nothing against him, but if you'd have brought Bullet Bob Armstrong, who I think did wrestle a little bit in WWE, and it probably wasn't Bullet Bob. It was probably one of his sons. I think it might have been Brad. I think Brad came to the WWE in like the mid-90s. But he would have been washed in. He still got the basics, you know how to manipulate a crowd, but this should tell you how localized the TNA product was. Like instead of trying to be a national product, they were being very local. A lot of Southern wrestling stuff. Which is not it's not all bad, but it was a lot of Southern wrestling stuff. I knew the name Bullet Bob Armstrong because I had seen him on TV before. I had seen him on Smoky Mountain. So I knew who Bob Armstrong was when I saw him. I didn't know he was Road Dogg's daddy until I think the Attitude Era. When they started, JR was just yelling about that stuff on commentary all the time. So I had definitely seen him in Smoky Mountain and all that. So here it is, 2006. How old was he here? Gotta be in his 50s, probably mid 50s at this point. He's still in decent shape for an old man. And Conan, the young gangster, he got that lean, he got that limp. I don't get it. Conan looks kind of sick. He looks kind of sick. Road Dogg got a God Jesus shirt on. Sheesh, sheesh. One of those short-term legends things that I didn't mind. I'm generally not too pressed about bad wrestling stuff. I actually enjoy bad wrestling. I'm not even gonna hold you up. Sometimes the worse it is, the funnier it is. This isn't even bad. It's more weird than anything. You know, it's more weird than anything for me. Cause I'm just kind of like, Bullet Bob just being here is is crazy. But you like it's 2006. Yeah, he's hanging out with his son, but I'm just like, does this audience really care? Like, did this audience really care about Bullet Bob Armstrong? Most of them don't even know who he is, you know. But it's so southern wrestling. Are they putting everybody out because they wanted to be just Conan versus Bullet Bob Armstrong in this arm wrestling match? I 100% support Conan in this Barry Sanders jersey. Oh shit, Conan. Conan's theatrics is great. He was 66. Conan is really putting them over. See, this is the shit that wrestling is supposed to be about, dog. There's no way on earth. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this shit. Look at the drama of Conan being so excited that he almost beat Bullet Bob Armstrong in this arm wrestling match. The drama of this arm wrestling match is fun. It's fun. Conan is really acting out. Bullet Bob has got that determination in his face. Oh, he won. Bullet Bob and the crowd pops because he's 66. That's crazy. Now Conan got to get whipped. Just imagine if they did this today. The three white guys about to whip the three Mexicans. Well, the three Hispanics. Conan is not Mexican. Uh, just imagine how people would act today. Homicide always been small shit. Um, he's like Arachna Man. He said they tried to sell the fact that he was a Marine Corps vet, like them stories of your old military uncle who thinks he still got it. See, I didn't peep that part, but that makes sense. So that makes sense. That's a good way. He got that Popeye, the way his chin stick out too. Like Popeye the Sailor Man. Shit. Bullet Bob is still in the scene. He's chewing up the scenery. I forgot Billy Gunn was even there, to be quite honest. Wait, they're gonna be suspended indefinitely if they don't submit to being whipped? Oh, that's wild. That means this whole thing meant something though. That means this meant something. Good. Good. I like this. I would, I think didn't Cody and MJF do like a stipulation like that? Like that's a very unique type of strap match where only the loser gets strapped. Instead of doing a strap match where you just put a strap between the two of you, it's more like you lost. Now I get 10 lashes or 15 lashes or whatever. Uh, oh, look at Homicide. Oh, come on. Homicide jumped in the air, bro. He took that he took that one whop and just basically almost did a 450. And now he's about to take his pants off. What is going on? Oh shit. We are you could tell they overselling the shit out of these whips, but This is dude. This shit is funny. Homicide took his shirt off which is gonna make the straps worse. TNA from this time period was fun to me. By the way, Pluto TV got a 24/7 Impact channel, and they run content from this era a lot. You know what? I wonder why I didn't think of looking at that. Oh, now they're just whipping them. Oh shit, that didn't turn out right. At least LAX was being honorable. They were willing to take their licking. You know, they lost. They're trying to be men of their word, even though they kind of held at gunpoint. But now these people, they're just chasing them around, whipping them. They're not even switching partners. They're just running around in circles, whipping the same guy again and again. Homicide is great in this scene, though. How he was really selling it, going overboard with it. I know, yeah, you're a big fan of Homicide. I liked LAX. I don't know if I liked Homicide. I liked LAX. Also, I had seen a little bit of Ring of Honor around this time, but I wasn't really like all the way in. I had a Full Impact Pro DVD that had Homicide and CM Punk on it. But I still wasn't like a big fan of Homicide. Oh shit, it's Jarrett and Steiner. We gotta listen to this one.
Scott Steiner and yourself, Jeff Jarrett, stepping into warfare.
Yeah, look, I gotta ask you something. I know you guys already got the good news. Your team has won the touring course. You guys have got first entry. But you got to let me know what's going on with this big announcement, the major announcement the management's having now. What's going on? Who knows what's going on?
Larry, you're supposed to know everything around here. Can you not see that I've got more important things to worry about instead of your career?
Yeah, but it's
big.
Listen
to me, Larry. Why don't you go chase down your boy Dave Hebner? Or no, better yet, his evil twin brother, Earl Hebner. He knows all about a screw job.
I should have known. I hate the Hebner.
Sting, you and your warriors, these people didn't come to see you.
Hey, James
they
Storm
came
rules.
to see us. So what we're going to do, we're going to drink our beer. We're going to walk that route, and we're going to beat some people's ass. Sorry about your damn luck. JB, you are looking at the two men that made the Six Sides of Steel famous. Tonight, we're talking about Lethal Lockdown, the most brutal match in professional wrestling. A match that men don't walk away from. A match that ends careers. Sting, you made the challenge. But understand one thing. You say you have your army together. Your army's blood is not on our hands. It's on yours. Big Papa Pump, I'll get this party started if you come in with the cleanup crew. You see, Big Papa Pump, the big bad booty daddy, lives for moments like this. Sting, you made a big mistake, and people are going to get hurt because of your mistake. See, I'm the hired hand. I'm the assassin. In the ring tonight, in that steel cage, there won't be no showtime. In that steel cage, I'm going to kick your ass because I'm ready to snap.
Big bad booty daddy. That shit has Survivor Series vibes. Like, go watch like Survivor Series, like a mid-90s Survivor Series. They would cut promos just like that. Tell them Hawk, or whatever. They just go around the room, But Jarrett being the hype man to Braden Walker, Chris Harris, That's back when Chris Harris was good. I was so excited to see Chris Harris come to WWE because I was like, man, he's gonna be something. He's really gonna be something. And then he showed up fat, and I was like, oh no. Elix Skipper's here. I knew he was on this card somewhere. Prime time, baby. Who is he wrestling? Some guy from Team Canada. Oh Lord. Jeez. Oh, it's Petey Williams. Okay. It's all right. It worked out okay. It's Petey Williams. So we good. I'm ready to snap. He said he the big bad booty daddy. You feel me? Like that shit real, bro. I cannot stand Scott D'Amore. I don't like him as a performer. I don't like him as a booker. I don't know. I probably wouldn't even like him as a person if I met him. Petey Williams is very underrated. You know, not just because he created one move and everybody stole from him. Oh no, it's a multiple man match. What's going on now? Who's this guy? Puma. Who? Puma is 21 years old with 6 years of experience. What? This must be one of these goofy X Division Cup things. Yeah, I was excited to see Elix Kipper versus Petey Williams. I'm not so excited to see Puma, whoever that should be. Oh, it's one of the Naturals. I remember the Naturals. Chase Stevens. Chase Stevens. This is the one that's not Shawn Michaels' cousin, right? That's the other one. TJP is Puma. Oh God, TJP fucking sucks. Ugh. Scott Steiner should manage Braun Breaker. You know what? I don't think. Why would you want Braun to get outshined by his uncle like that? Plus, I think Scott's kind of mellow now. Shark Boy sucks too. I've never been a big Shark Boy guy. I know the TNA audience really like Shark Boy. Nah. And Stone Cold Shark Boy, I think, was an offense. That's actually good looking girl. A good looking girl on a smelly wrestling show. Jesus H Christ. Oh, it's Chris Sabin. Oh boy. Oh boy. This ain't gonna turn out well. Is this teams? What's going on here? It's just people coming to the ring. I probably should. If it wasn't for like the copyrighted music, I'd have turned it up. But I wanted to like a scramble where it's like a bunch of people in one match. I guess we'll figure it out as we go along here. Wait, it's Elix Skipper, Petey Williams, Chris Sabin, Shark Boy, X Division escape match. Okay. AMW was my squad one time, but Beer Money ended up being the better pair. I'm partial to America's Most Wanted, honestly. I think they just fit. They fit perfectly. I like Bobby Roode more than Chris Harris, but I'm always a sucker for America's Most Wanted. Like the matches they had with I call them Team 3D, the Dudley Boys. That stuff was fun. Some of the other fun matches they had in the early days of TNA, man, I like America's Most Wanted. I like them. I like Beer Money too, though. Beer Money is a tight team. But I'm also just a big fan of James Storm in general, and thinks like, man, we missed out on some prime James Storm as a main event guy years. If only we could have figured that shit out sooner. If only we could have figured it out in I don't know, 2008 or something like that. Yeah, I want heel Braun Breaker to really just show out. I want to just put people on the Steiner recliner and refuse to let them out. That would be great. That would rule. AJ3 says pretty much a way for TNA to put all of their young guns in one match and let them shine. It worked for me. This just feels like this is the shit that NXT does. This is the shit that now AEW has calmed down with this stuff, but this is the shit that NXT does. Oh, we got a bunch of young guys. We don't know what to do with them. Just throw them all in one match. It's like, bro, nobody's gonna. This shit doesn't help anybody. I had to look at what the rules were. Thankfully, they're in the description. I can just, without having to leave the screen, go figure out what the rules are and what kind of match it is. But, I guess a showcase here and there. But this is like the third one, on this show. It's not going to bother you none. But it's kind of weird because Shark Boy is like 100% gimmick. And that's actually interesting for TNA because there wasn't a lot of guys in TNA that was like as into their gimmick as Shark Boy, D-Mac, remember the promo back there, the DVD bootleg dude in downtown Brooklyn near Junior's Cheesecake? I copped this DVD off of him. He even made the labels. That's how it was when we used to get Smack DVDs from like the flea market here in Detroit. He would try to recreate the covers and everything. He would have like we could tell it wasn't official, but it looked official. And you'd be like, damn, this is not too bad. But you could tell that he was like burning them joints. So, but the quality of them was still okay. I wish I had a wrestling bootleg, man. That should have saved me a lot of money. At this point in time, I was going and buying. I was going out actually buying DVDs. I was mostly trying to play catch up around this time, though. I love the breakout tournament. Me too. Because it introduces new people, and it gives them a purpose, and you get to see who they're interested in the future. But I really want them to get back to it. So what's taking so long for them to get there? What are my thoughts on Jay White joining AEW? It's a good fit for him. Somebody said that WWE had a hiring freeze, and that's why they didn't sign Jay White. I don't know if that's true because they signed Dragon Lee and that other guy too, the Eddie Thorpe guy. They signed him within the last couple of months. But somebody claimed that WWE went through a hiring freeze. That's why they didn't try to make a play for him, because they knew they were going to sell the company, so they didn't want to hire anybody. But they had like an NIL class, but they did slow down on acquiring some talents. I mean that part was suspicious, and it wasn't until somebody said something about it that I really noticed it. Like there wasn't a lot of NXT, people being brought in or brought up. Wasn't a lot of that lately. He kind of been cooling it on that. So that's interesting. But I don't look at it as like some big loss for WWE. I think it's more of a gain for AEW than it is a loss for WWE. I think they need somebody like Jay White because he fits the product. He is a big star to that audience. If he comes to WWE, who thinks that he's a big star? Not many. Not many people think he's a big star. And Tony Khan needs to try to replace CM Punk. And I'm not saying that Jay White can do that. That's putting a lot of pressure on that guy. But what I'm saying is, you talk about a guy who is a main event player to that audience, somebody who that audience can main event shows. He's that guy. The problem is that some of the time they keep bringing in guys who have no capabilities of main eventing shows. Or they'll bring in a girl like they did with Taya Valkyrie, and they'll throw her on Rampage or something like that. Jay White is actually somebody that they can run as a top guy if they wanted to. They can run him as a main event act if they wanted to. The question is, do they want to? And if they do, when do they want to? Like when they brought in Daniels, again, there's nothing. They will never have the momentum they had of late 2021. That was tremendous. They brought in Adam Cole, Danielson, and Punk within 4 months of each other. That shit was cooking, and it was undeniable that they had the momentum. They still wasn't doing anything with them, but they had momentum. Malachi Black had come in. Andrade had come in. 2021, they were snatching talent, and then 2022 happened, and people started to disappear. People started to get injured. And, things changed. So if you're trying to ease some of the pressure on Kenny Omega, you're trying to fill a top main event spot. Maybe you're kind of skittish about Adam Cole's future. Jay White's a good pickup. Great pickup. In WWE, he'd be just another name, and he'd have to start over because nobody know who he is, because the audience wouldn't be familiar with him at all. He'd have the talent to get over, but you'll be talking about investing 4 or 5 months, maybe even longer, into him getting over. In AEW, he's already over because they already know who he is. So it was a good move on his end. He might not make as much money as he would have liked, but he has the ability to be utilized as a top level main event guy almost immediately if he wanted to. If Tony Khan were so inclined, which we don't know if they are. It's so we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, Stone Cold Shark Boy is the worst. It is the worst. Shark Boy gimmick was overrated. He did not go too far in his career, which makes him underrated. He was used more of a jobber. Well, what more could you do to him, really? Like, what really could you do with him that would make him something more than a jobber? Why is this guy about to jump off this cage? What's up here? Now, you notice how they're fighting? Like, they're still bunching up to catch him, but they're fighting, and nobody caught him. Oh, nobody caught him. Oh, that sucks. Ooh-wee. Yikes, bro. There's like 4 people down there. Nobody caught him. Ay, ay, ay. Yeah. That shit like it hurt. Kota Ibushi should probably go to AEW too. Same reason, He's a bigger star to that audience. And Kota Ibushi's 40, isn't he? He's got to be like 40. He's just coming off a serious injury. He worked Bloodsport, got injured again. I think he might have got injured before Bloodsport. He'd have to start all over again. WWE probably wouldn't give him what he wants. Like, probably financially, sure. But he said he wants to be a coach and he wants to teach like martial arts and shit. Now, I'm not saying that NXT couldn't use that, but the WWE product doesn't properly use martial arts. So I don't think that it'll work out for him, He seems like the kind of guy who probably want to start his own promotion. That's what it feels like to me. But I definitely think that Tony Khan feels an intense pressure on the back of his neck to pick up Kota Ibushi and Jay White and be like, yes, look at what I did. I took these 2 hot free agents from WWE, and then WWE is going to be like, they're wrestlers, which is generally how other normal people think about this kind of stuff. Like, they're wrestlers. This is not Michael Jordan. Oh, this elimination? Because Eli Skipper just got eliminated. Oh, that sucks. Oh, that sucks. That guy, Chase Stevens, who just did like a shooting star press off the top of that damn cage, missed everything, hit the floor, he's out too. Jesus. He almost died, bro. They or Triple H hired Dragon Lee and Eddie Thorpe. Now, I wasn't that familiar with Eddie Thorpe when he was in the dojo, but there's a couple of guys in the dojo that I thought, hey, if you can get this guy, he's not too bad. I forget what the fuck his name was when he was in the dojo. That's the thing about that. It'll come to me eventually. But at least he's very well trained because he went for the New Japan dojo. At the same time, though, you also can tell that he didn't have any sort of focus on his character work. It was all just in-ring stuff. So NXT is going to be a character boot camp for Eddie Thorpe. He's going to have to figure out who he is as a character and what motivates him and all that kind of stuff. So good luck for that. Main event shows and sell some tickets in AEW. Is Jay White the guy? I don't know. I don't know if he's the guy. It's all about who Tony thinks the guy is. For Christ's sake, I think Tony isn't really looking at it that way because he looks as AEW like an ensemble cast, not as you have a top star and then you build around your top star. Because if he felt that way, he would make better decisions, And I think he's trying it with, MJF. Can he make a top star? As much as MJF goes out there and kind of makes himself by, chewing up a lot of the scenery. And, you got to give Tony Khan some credit. He's giving him the platform. But, but my question when it comes to Jay White is, what is he without Bullet Club? That's what I want to know. This was a guy who got like a super push real early, but it was all Bullet Club. It was Bullet Club the entire time. Not like Randy Orton. Like Randy Orton got pushed it was Evolution. And then it was like, okay, who is Randy Orton without Evolution? They sent him to SmackDown. He feuded with The Undertaker. He had to develop who he was separate from Evolution and all that kind of stuff. This is Jay White's time to separate from Bullet Club, to do something different, to be somebody different. And from what it looks like, he's just going to do Bullet Club shit. I'm going to give it some time, but it seems to me like he's just doing Bullet Club shit. Oh, Scott D'Amore is about to job Chris Sabin out. He's about to job him out. Why would you? He had him. Why would you let him go? They fighting on the side of this cage. Okay, this is like it's about to be stupid. Oh, okay. That was dumb. Yeah, that was a stupid finish. Scott D'Amore caught Petey Williams, and instead of putting him down, it was like, oh, what? Oh my God, I caught you. Oh my God, I caught you. And then Chris Sabin climbed over the top rope and won. That's crazy. This is crazy. You paid $10 to $15 for a TNA DVD. I don't know how much I paid for mine. Again, mine was like buy one get one free, so it's probably about $20. Yeah. Is Kota Ibushi just another flippy guy? Well, he's evolved. I can say that Kota Ibushi, Will Ospreay, those guys have evolved. You know, Kota Ibushi is more of a striker now, and he still has that, you know, the high flying stuff in his arsenal. But he's gotten better with age. Kota Ibushi has, legit. Carl Fredericks, that was his name. Oh, Jesus Christ, that was his name. I knew it was something weird. Now that WWE is merging with UFC, it's different. I think people are taking the idea of it being a merger too literally. Okay, that's too literal, right? It's going to be two divisions of the same company. You know, it's not going to be one. It's going to be one company, but two divisions of the same company. It's not in any way going to cross over or anything like that. I think that there is some elements that you can learn from martial arts into pro wrestling. Absolutely. And I definitely think that it can help the business. Like I said, I'm a big fan of Bloodsport. It would definitely cut down on injuries if guys knew how to properly do grappling and, you know, teach the audience that grappling can be entertaining. It will cut down on your injuries, you know, because you're rolling around on the mat. You're not exactly taking bumps all the time, right? Teach people how to properly throw a strike. That can only make your matches look crisper and more realistic. Even if it's those pathetic open hand slaps, it still looks better than you throwing shitty punches or crappy forearm shivers. They look like shit, and everybody knows it. I don't know why people just don't say they look like shit. And there's elements to that, you know, the jiu-jitsu, the judo, and that kind of stuff that you can bring into wrestling to make matches look more legitimate, to make them look stronger, and make them more interesting. And then you could break it down to your regular old entertainment match. You know, I miss old Samoa Joe, man. I really do. Samoa Joe was a beast. He was like my first favorite wrestler in TNA. Because I hated AJ Styles. I couldn't stand him. But Samoa Joe, I was all in. I was like, that's my guy. You know, Samoa Joe was in there killing dudes. Of course, I was like, you know, Goldberg ripoff, all that kind of shit. But at the same time, he was good. And, you know, I was like, well, look, he's good. He looks like an Elvis impersonator, but he's good. Fucking good. Oh, yeah, I heard about Drew McIntyre and his contract running out. Do I think he'll leave? I don't. You know, I don't think he's going anywhere. Like, go to AEW to do what? You know, go to Japan to do what? He's finally in the position that he wants to be in WWE. I don't think he'll be the top babyface, and I think that was a mistake to try to make him the top babyface. But he's definitely a really good opponent for Cody as a heel. because he's got the same story as Drew McIntyre. He's got the same story as Cody. You know, like just imagine the parallels between the two of them when that time comes. And you know, Cody likes to book his own angles. So just imagine when that time comes and it's Drew McIntyre and it's Cody. How they could be the two guys who left WWE, who went from undesirable to undeniable, the both of them. You know, and that's just a story that writes itself. I don't think Drew is going to leave. Again, I think it might have been an issue where they're watching the money issue a lot closer now because, you know, they're purchased by somebody else. So maybe that might be the first domino to fall is what's up with wrestler pay, you know. But I think Drew is definitely one of the guys you want to keep around because he's definitely a really good main event guy that you can put in a spot. And, you know, letting him go would be a mistake. But him going to AEW would even be an even bigger mistake. If he was to, let's say, not re-sign, he's better off just going home and sitting and waiting for them to call him than him going over to AEW. Because he's not going to be appreciated at all over there. I can tell you that right now. He's too big, he's too muscular, and he's too handsome. They don't want nothing to do with that. They don't want nothing to do with any of that stuff. Pause, by the way. He said he missed Don West and Mike Tenay. It was a much better team than I give them credit for in the past. Don West is very enthusiastic, and there's something to be said about enthusiasm. You know, that's kind of what I defend about Vince in the mid '90s. People would be like how terrible Vince is as a commentator. I was like, no, wait, Vince ruled. He was incredibly enthusiastic about the product. He was passionate about the wrestlers. He cared about the angles and the storylines. He knew how to respond to things. He always had good body language and good chemistry with the wrestlers and stuff like that. He was great. Don West, same thing. You know, so what? He doesn't know the whole. So what? He's just yelling. You know, sometimes Mike Tenay is there to give you the holes, give you the backstory, and Don West is the hype man. You know, he's the energy. That's good. Now I remember buying this DVD simply to see Samoa Joe versus Sabu. You know, one of the few times where I looked at a match and was like, ooh, you know what? I would like to see that. And then, you know, I ended up liking the show. WWE have their own Forbidden Door as UFC. That's awful. Yeah, Davey Richards retired because he said his wife, you know, he beat his wife. Yeah, he's done. He's cooked. That dude's finished. That was a weird thing when Joe and Umaga was cooking at the same time, and people were saying that one. I think somebody said that. Well, there was a lot of people saying that Umaga was the ripoff because Samoa Joe was there first, and he was doing the undefeated thing in like 2005. But Umaga was something else, man. He was really good. He was surprisingly good. Like, I was never really a big fan of the Samoans. I just tell you right off rip, I was never really a big fan of the Anawais. I didn't like Rikishi. I didn't really like Yokozuna. I became more of an appreciator of Yokozuna. But Umaga, I didn't like him right off the bat. But when he started doing this stuff with Jeff Hardy, I was like, oh, Umaga is great. When he did his feud with John Cena, I was like, this dude's fucking rules. You know, like, he really won me over. You know, he really won me over. I wish we could have gotten more time with Umaga and let that character grow. And Umaga could be an interesting case because it seemed like the audience was ready for him too. You know, for him to beat Cena and be the champion and everything. But they weren't going that route. They're like, nope, nope, nope. Cena gonna choke you out. Cena gonna choke you out. Sabu brought the hardcore to the ring with the chairs and used it in a match to jump Samoa Joe ECW style and tried to end Joe's unstoppable streak. Yeah, like, this is just I think this is kind of like an open challenge kind of situation. Like, Sabu wasn't even a regular on the show at this time. So this was more of a dream match, quote unquote. No, I was never a big fan of Rikishi. Again, you have to understand though, I knew Rikishi when he was Fatu, and he was a head shrinker. Like, I knew he was the same guy. I knew he was the Sultan. You know, I had every reason to not like him. You know, they just keep repackaging the same guy over and over again. I was just kind of like, this dude needs to go away. You know, I was never a big fan of Rikishi ever. Even when he got into his Rikishi persona, I didn't like him. Sabu's bleeding. Samoa Joe's getting into his combinations. I always like Samoa Joe's knee drops and stuff like that. Like when he used to do the thing where he used to drop his shin across the neck. It shows great technique, how he's the size that he is, and he was able to do that stuff without hurting people. That was the one thing about Yokozuna that I like too. You can appreciate big guys a lot more when you see how much safer they have to be than everybody else, and their stuff still looks good. That's why Hulk Hogan liked working with John Tenta, because John Tenta was big, but he took care of people. You know, I don't know why he took such. I mean, I guess he was a nice guy too, but I don't know. I am also one of those people that kind of feel like Earthquake should have gotten the Yokozuna run. You know, but I don't know. I liked Earthquake as a kid. You know, his finish just seems appealed to me. It's crazy simple how it works. Sabu's triple jump moonsault that, strangely enough, nobody has stolen. Well, people used to steal it all the time. Now you don't see it as much. You think PCO dopes himself up with adrenaline? I think he probably does like some kind of cocaine or something. There's just no way that he's still doing that shit and he's in his mid-50s and he's still, you know, falling all over the place, jumping all over the place. Oh shit, he's got a spike. Oh my goodness. Oh my god. Or it's a screwdriver or something like that. Counter into an armbar. That was great. Why didn't he stab him in the leg? Oh, he stole it. Oh, the referee. Slick. Is his name Slick Johnson, the referee? This is interesting. You see this really good mesh of styles here with Samoa Joe bringing in the more ground-based MMA stuff, while Sabu bringing in the hardcore ECW shit. You know, just giving Joe a different look, because Joe had been beating up on the X Division guys at this point. You know, and now he's facing a completely different beast, and he's still managing to work a limb. By the way, he's working a limb. He's working that arm. You know, stomping on his hands and putting them in arm bars and stuff. Again, this is basic shit, you know, to get people into the storyline of the match. And this is Sabu. Like, who the hell wants to see Sabu work a limb? But that's what they're doing. You don't have access to thumbtacks and shit. At least I don't remember it being in this match. But Sabu got the blade, so it all worked out. Where's Sabu going? Well, if the WWE didn't put a Hall of Tag team in the Hall of Fame, that was a mistake. Definitely should have been the Midnight Express. It definitely should have been Midnight Express. Oh, what was that? Like a diamond cutter off the top rope? That was kind of crazy. 1, 2. Oh shit! It went to commercial. Demolition sued WWE. They should get over it and put him in the Hall of Fame. I agree, though. Just not Crush. Just Axe and Smash. Not Crush, though. I don't want nothing to do with Crush. Crush sucks. But to be quite honest, Crush is an integral part of the team. He's an important part of the team. So I guess if you put Demolition in, Crush has to go in too. But I like Axe and Smash. But they sued WWE, and that's been all downhill from there. Eventually, Vince is going to get over it. He's got to. Demolition drew a lot of money. You know, they were a really good team. Very different functionally from the Sabu is botched again. Definitely functionally different from the Legion of Doom. The matches weren't even the same. They just had a similar gimmick. Muscle Buster. Oh, that was good. That was good. I like that. Young Joe. It's really good. The Godwins also sued. I think they did. I think the Godwins did sue. But Henry Godwin is Undertaker's boy. So there that go. Yeah, Crush sucks. Crush sucks ass. Yeah, see, if they would have gone with Earthquake as the world champion, I don't know when they could have done it. Uh, because he feuded with Hogan, I think in like 90, 90, 91. Maybe you give him Sergeant Slaughter's title run. Because I don't really care about Sergeant Slaughter being the champion. No, Sergeant Slaughter being the champion to me was like Gerald Ford being the president, bro. It was like that shit don't even count. And that's weird because you know they they put so much effort into that shit, and I could not stand Sergeant Slaughter being the champion. It wasn't even just like I thought he was a good heel. I just thought Sergeant Slaughter was an old fuddy duddy. Like he was an old man when I was a kid. Like I don't know why Vince decided to go with Sergeant Slaughter to turn that guy heel, but it went too far. Like I get it. I clearly get why he did it because he wanted to do that whole thing based on the war, and he figured what can get more heat than the American hero turning heel. But nah, man, I could have just went with the tried and true method and went with Hogan and Earthquake. Was Earthquake even around at the time when Sergeant Slaughter won the title? Was Earthquake even there? I don't remember. But I think they did a sumo match or something like that between Earthquake and Yokozuna. That was fun. That was fun. But I think that they definitely should have tried to get Earthquake in there. He got really over after he crushed Damien. Oh, he got super over. Man, that would have been a really good time to make him the world champion. Yeah, that was Bruno's choosing though. Bruno didn't want to go in the Hall of Fame. He had rejected it. It's the same thing with like Rick Martel and maybe some other guys who kind of are being difficult and not wanting to go into the Hall of Fame for whatever reason. My thing is, why are they dragging ass on putting ECW guys into the Hall of Fame? Sandman should be in the Hall of Fame by now. Raven should be somewhere near a Hall of Fame by now. WWE, ECW been closed 22 years or something like that. Most of those guys are, Taz. Like those guys are Hall of Famers, man. What they were able to do in that small sweat box in Philly or something else, especially since Philly is in is WrestleMania next year. They need to just go ECW Hall of Fame. Paul Heyman, Taz, Tommy Dreamer, Raven, Sandman, Sabu. Sabu might even turn it down, but just offer it to him. I think next year you got to go ECW with it. It'll be 23 years or whatever since ECW closed. Got to go with Paul being the number one for the Hall of Fame at that point. That's me personally. You got to go with Paul Heyman being the first one next year. Sergeant Slaughter, man, I just didn't enjoy his promos or his work. I just didn't care. Rick Rude definitely should have been world champion. That would have been nice, but the only problem is he was undersized. Compared to Hogan and Warrior, even though they all three of them was on steroids, by the way. But the difference is he was just naturally smaller. Especially since he was the guy that beat Warrior, they really got you to believe that he could be the world champion. But there was no real point in time where you could have put the belt on Rick Rude and it would have made sense. He'd had to stay around a lot longer. And he left WWE in 91, maybe a pay dispute, I think it was. That's when he went to WCW and he got that super push over there. But he got that second world title that they had. It was the international belt, which was the big gold belt at the time. He was that champion. He was really good as a champion of WCW. He had a match with Hogan in like 91. Yeah, I'm thinking Earthquake came in in mid '91 because I think that was Hogan's SummerSlam opponent in '91 was Earthquake. I don't remember though. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head, and it's hard. Mid '91 would have been WrestleMania 7, right? Yeah, WrestleMania 6 or WrestleMania 7. If it was 6, then no, yeah, if it was 6, then Warrior would have been the champion, and they would have had to have Earthquake beat Warrior, and that wasn't going to happen. They had Sergeant Slaughter beat Warrior. I don't know why. Yeah, it had to be WrestleMania 6. I don't. It would have been more believable if Earthquake would have beat Warrior than if Sergeant Slaughter would have beat him. You know, because they were still putting Earthquake over as he couldn't be slammed and all that kind of stuff. Typical big man shit. We got ourselves a flag match here. One of my least favorite match types. Team Canada, which includes this A1 who looks like he's like an LD student. Robert Roode and Eric Young. Eric Young sucks. He sucks the hard way, real bad. Why do the Dudley Boys have their faces painted? What's that about? Oh, I guess because they're at war with Canada. That sucks. AJ3 says, I'm only familiar with A1 from his days in TNA. I felt like he was added to Team Canada so that Bobby Roode didn't have to be defaulted into the muscle of the group. Whatever happened to him? Good question. I have no idea. That's probably a better question for one of these European TNA YouTubers. I have no idea what happened to this guy. I don't know who he is. He was there when I started watching TNA, then all of a sudden he just vanished. After the end of Team Canada, he just vanished. I don't think they repackaged him. Well, I think maybe they did repackage him, but it didn't stick. But he's literally only a part of Team Canada, and that was it. You know, he didn't do anything else. Yeah, he sucks. So I mean, it is what it is. But Team Canada sucks in general. You know, he's just the worst one in the group. Second worst next to Eric Young. It's like sucks ass. 1A and 1B, they both suck. Well, Matt and Jeff could go into the Hall of Fame, obviously, but WWE will want Jeff to be clean. And they both have to get out from under their TNA contracts. So, but the Hardy Boys definitely should go in. You know, I just don't think next year will be that time because they'll still be under contract to AEW. At least Jeff will. And Jeff's the one that they want. You know, so it's certainly not going to be them. Mikey Whipwreck, nah. See, that's the thing that really trips me out. Mikey Whipwreck got a super push in ECW. I was not a fan. And even today, I'm still not a fan. It didn't even, sometimes bad ideas, they wear on you, where it's like, okay, I can see why you would make that decision. Maybe I wouldn't have made it. Bubble bomb from the top rope. Oh, my goodness. And look at how Bobby Roode is selling it. Look at this. He's down there climbing the cage with his crotch. What the hell? But Mikey Whipwreck being the ECW World Champion never sat right with me. I hated that. I hated it so much. Oh, that was so frustrating. Just knowing that happened, I was like, you can't be serious. It's not just the whole, look who was ECW champion, look who wasn't. Not even to go that far, because, you know, that's kind of petty. I don't like doing that. But Mikey Whipwreck was the ECW World Champion. Like, just saying it out loud is goofy as hell, you know? So Paul was trying to tell a story, and that was very smart, though. He was trying to tell a story when it comes to, you know, the Mikey Whipwreck thing. It's just that I think that he could have told that story some other point in time. Could have told that story with your television title and not with your world title. Lita's already in the Hall of Fame. The Hardy Boys aren't, though. Yeah, Christian could go in the Hall of Fame for sure. He's probably still be under contract to TNA, AEW by that point in time. So the flags are on the outside of the cage. That's what it looks like. Who the hell thought that Team Canada was a good idea? We're gonna have a a heel team of Canadians. Okay, what are we gonna do? Canada? Canada, there's not that much difference between Canadians and Americans. You know, you have to really play into it like Bret Hart did in order for that shit to work. You know, Bubba as a heel or a face. Well, obviously as a heel. You know, he's a decent baby face, but you know, the Dudley Boys as heels was what make the money. You know, that was what was printing money over there in Philadelphia and New York City so long. Bubba's ability to get heat. But he was unhinged. Like when he was going out there saying that people teach their daughters how to suck dick, and he was calling dudes faggots and stuff. Like he couldn't do that stuff on like regular TV. Like the stuff that he was doing in ECW was vile, man. Like the stuff he was saying would not fly. Even in the Attitude Era, it wouldn't fly. So he was really getting away with murder on TV, you know, on ECW TV, let's say, because they didn't have a straight up TV deal. They had a syndicated TV deal. So like sometimes they would even just cut the promo right on out, and I wouldn't even see it until like years later on YouTube or something like that. It would be so crazy. Like there's a lot of ECW footage that was syndicated, and that shit was edited to the point where, like, Tajiri and Taz, you know, I remember they showed clips from that match. Like I think they were supposed to show the match, but they said it was so violent that it ended up being edited, and I don't remember much about it. I just remember it being kind of stupid, you know, and not being a big fan of it. Do I remember Shark Boy's tag team partner? No, I do remember Curryman though. Wasn't he one of Shark Boy's tag team partners? DeRay 3000. Oh, I don't remember that name. Oh, this match was short, thankfully. It sucked too, by the way. Poor Bobby Roode is saddled with this shit. If only they knew back in 2006 what they had. If only they could have eyeballs and they weren't just obsessed with Jeff Jarrett. For Christ's sake. Scott D'Amore, you suck. All right? You suck bad. How do I think Vince will book Santos Escobar? I think he would like Santos Escobar because he's got a great look and he's got a family name that they can lean on. Only problem is he's small. You know, Vince will look at him and say he's short. You know, that'd be about it. But he can talk. He's got a great look. He's a good worker. I don't see why Vince wouldn't like him other than the fact that he's small. I don't think that Vince would see Santos Escobar as somebody who could stand in there with Brock or, you know, stand in there with Roman, you know. I don't think he sees that. I don't think anybody sees that. But a solid Intercontinental Champion, yeah, I can see that. I personally think he can go a little bit higher than that. I was always a big fan of Santos Escobar. Even when he was King Cuerno and Lucha Underground, I was a big fan. I was a fan of watching him as El Fantasma, or El Hijo del Fantasma, I'm sorry. And AAA, I was a big fan of watching him there. I've always been a fan of that guy. It's just WWE's, you know, their thing is they like their wrestlers a little bit bigger, you know. And he looked huge in Lucha Underground, but then you figure out it's just the camera work. it's just the camera work. Vegeta Lover 92. I hope they put Jimmy Wang Yang. Why would they do that? AJ3, would you be doing SmackDown tomorrow? Because the rumors going on that Triple H may be going home with Stephanie. After they just sent the memo saying that Triple H is running creative, they sent that shit just Monday. If they turn around and say, well, Triple H is leaving, he's taking a vacation, I think it's just another pep rally. It's the same shit that he probably going to be the same shit he said on Monday, just saying it again on Friday. Similar to when Vince popped up on both Monday and Friday and Monday. He didn't have anything to say. He just popped up, which was odd, very odd. You know, I can see Triple H doing the same thing all over again. I know you guys have heard some Crazy news. I can't do the voice without coughing. We're not going anywhere. We're WWE. You're like, okay, sure. Like, I don't expect nothing to change really until Endeavor starts putting them cuts in, because the cuts are coming, baby. The cuts are coming. Once Endeavor starts, with the axe chopping people, then you'll start seeing some major change, and then maybe you'll see Triple H get axed and Bruce and all those people. They'll say, we don't need all these folks. Some of them got to go. Maybe at that point. But for right now, they want good ties, because they want fan engagement. They want the fans to stay involved. They want the talent to stay involved, to get the talent an opportunity to get used to the new regime and all that kind of stuff. They're not going to make any major changes right now. Not right now. In 6 months, maybe. Once they start saying, oh, we don't need this writer, we're going to fire him. Then it goes from, oh yeah, we don't need this writer or his team. And then you see like 10 people get fired. Like, okay, then of course, that's a little bit different. But for right now, I think people are just kind of overthinking it in terms of Raw was bad, and then they didn't like that Cody lost at WrestleMania. It's like, so people are overthinking this thing. It's like, just the simpler response is usually the right one. And the simpler response is, as I think it was Mia Yim tweeted out, a lot of people went home after WrestleMania because they had been on the road straight up for a week. So they basically just decided they was going to take an L on Raw after WrestleMania. So, and I didn't notice it until somebody brought it up, that a lot of the people who wrestled on Raw were people who were on night one of WrestleMania. Omos didn't wrestle a long match, so he was on night 2. Brock didn't wrestle at all. Roman didn't wrestle at all. Cody didn't wrestle at all. Edge didn't show up. Finn Balor didn't show up. Bianca Belair didn't wrestle. She wrestled on night 1. So you had the Street Profits, who wrestled on night 1. Wrestle Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, who wrestled on night 1. Elias didn't have a match at WrestleMania at all. So when you look at how they put together Raw, it's basically they gave some people the night off, and they basically sent them home and figured we could make do with Roman and Brock and Cody and teasing this big title match, this big tag team match, and renege it. They even sent the Usos home. So it's not like they was even trying to do too much of anything. You gotta ask, why would Vince send the Usos home? Like, why? Like, once I saw that conspiracy theory, that once I saw, not the conspiracy theory, but once I saw that Mia Yim said like they had been on the road for like a week straight and people were burned out, and that's why morale was down, because they were tired. And somebody said like everybody who was on Raw was on night 1. And I looked at the card again and I was like, well, I'll be damned. That is exactly true. Most of the people who wrestled on that show were wrestled on night 1. So they gave whoever wrestled on night 2 pretty much the night off, except for Roman and Brock, and because they just basically didn't have to do anything but just show up. They just had to be there. They didn't have to actually do any work. So when you look at it from that perspective, that they basically just took a bath and said, well, it's more important to us to set the standard for what's going to happen forward. So that the Brock had to be there, Roman had to be there, Cody had to be there. Everybody else is kind of negligible. We don't really need all these people. And then I started hearing about matches that were, cut, and Bayley being sent home and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, I don't know about all that. Maybe Bayley was injured. And then there was like, people are posting pictures of Bayley and they thinking Bayley's going to leave and all this kind of shit. I'm like, I don't know, man. That's all stuff that could be tossed into the air. But I'm looking at it like people are overreacting. It was a bad episode of Raw. It wasn't the only one. There have been tons of bad episodes of Raw. Triple H has produced really bad episodes of Raw within the last 8 or 9 months that he's been there. So it's not that big of a deal that it was like a Raw that sucked. And Raw after WrestleMania sometimes sucks. I know people seem to think that they that these were always great, but they're not. Just like the reunion show, Raw 30, it sucked. You know, and Raw 30 was garbage because they were using it for something else. Oh, Christy Hemme, aka Vince McMahon's girlfriend, she's out here. Um, I don't know. Like the thing is about rumors is they are just that. They're rumors. People saying stuff, and it is what it is. Fans have a mind of their own, but it was interesting that me and Yum stood up and said like we haven't been at home, and because WrestleMania is the biggest time of the year. They haven't been at home in a long time, so a lot of people were in a bad mood. A lot of people were tired. A lot of people were out of it. So they basically just, I guess, decided to send some people home. So it makes sense to me. Only keep a skeleton crew, and only get the people that you need. You know, and of course that would have facilitated bringing in people. Maybe you should have brought some people up in order to fill those gaps. But at the same time, if you have no plan to keep them on the roster, why would you bring them up? You could bring in Cameron Grimes or whoever just to pop the crowd, but ultimately, if there's no plan for him going forward, then what was the point of bringing him in? You know, it was bad, and Raw's been kind of shitty. Like people don't understand that. Like it's sad to say this, but sometimes you do have to take an episode or two off in order to reset. Like it's the same thing with pretty much any story. Like if you ever read like a manga or something like that, there's always going to be a chapter or two that are kind of weak because they're there to separate the past story from the future story. So that's what this Raw after WrestleMania was. It was essentially Cody lost his big match against Roman. What's next for him? We need to take a week to kickstart this new thing for him. So we're going to basically take him out of the ring, do this little thing with Roman, do the Brock thing. Okay, so now we got that set up. And next week, you'll probably have more people on the show. You'll get your Chad Gable fix or whatever the fuck, and everything will be okay. And they'll go back to saying Triple H is the best booker of all time. At least that's what I believe. But the fact that they announced so many matches ahead of time when it comes to SmackDown tells me that Vince is not writing this show. But we'll see. Oh, it's Raven. Raven's here. This is back when his feud with Larry Zbyszko. I wasn't a fan of this Larry Zbyszko Raven. I can tell you that much. Was not a big fan of that. Zbyszko was like really old here too. And Raven just looked old. He was still pretty old, but he looked worse than he really. He looked probably about 10 years older than he really was. Larry Zbyszko was in the same boat with Bullet Bob Armstrong. It's like, do people really know Larry Zbyszko? They know him because of WCW, clearly. But do they know that Larry Zbyszko was like a really accomplished wrestler? From the AWA? No, not likely. They probably didn't even know when he was the Crusher. Like Larry the Crusher Zbyszko, which has got to be the most generic wrestling name in the history of wrestling names, right? I heard that was a Jim Herd thing. Jim Herd wanted them to be the Crusher, so he started calling himself the Crusher. That's stupid. It's a stupid name. Man, Raven looked bloated. He's out here chasing Larry Zbyszko around. Larry Zbyszko can move around. Hey, it's Christian. You better cut a promo.
Lockdown, and my guest at this time about to embark on one of the most personal battles
Sweet Charlotte
of your
10
career.
pounds
Christian
of gold.
Cage, you are about to defend that world heavyweight title tonight against the 6'8" monster, Abyss. Your thoughts, please.
Oh, no more talking for you, Christian? Okay, I'm sorry. He's very angry. Sweet Charlotte, the 10 pounds of gold, baby. TNA truly grew up when they got rid of that damn belt. I ain't gonna hold you up. When they got rid of that damn belt, TNA finally came into its own. It finally became its own entity. I feel like it went through puberty when they got rid of that damn NWA belt. Not that I hate the NWA title or anything like that. It's just that that's when they should have rebranded everything. That's when they should have said, we're no longer TNA wrestling. We're now Impact Wrestling, whatever. But, this is what we're stuck with. We're literally stuck with this now. I think, but you also have to take into account too that when it comes to like modern WWE, they care more about SmackDown and Raw. So we'll see if nothing happens on SmackDown. If SmackDown is Basura, then we know there's something up. But and it was also distracted by the whole sale and everything, because the talent is now learning about the sale. The people in the office are just now learning about the sale. There's like a lot going on here on Monday. Yeah. This was your standard Abyss match of the era, where the crowd was just waiting for the thumbtacks to come out. A painfully average match. One that's shown a gigantic spotlight on the fact that Christian, I guess you have more. Abyss was basically having the same match pretty much every month. His squash matches were interesting, but his matches on pay-per-view was just him breaking out the thumbtacks, him falling on barbed wire and shit. He is drowning Christian in his own pool. That's crazy. That's crazy. That rules. I forgot all about this storyline. I don't remember not being a big fan of this match, but that's an attempted murder. That's an attempted murder. Oh, Christian got a crowbar, huh? Why did you run right at the guy with the crowbar? What was you thinking? Christian isn't as good as fans wanted him to be. Wow. Look at who they put Christian in the ring against, though. I mean, Abyss is not the guy. They basically mid-carded him. It's the same thing WWE would have done. Put him in there with like Kane and Snitsky and shit. It's kind of the same thing. It was basically they're trying to build his reputation, show that he's tough, and this kind of stuff. If he just wanted to have banger ass matches, they had plenty of guys on the roster for that. They chose not to go that route. They chose to go this route. He had better matches with Rhino, and I don't even like Rhino. But him and Rhino are like old friends and shit. So, yeah, no doubt. But this was a painfully average match. It was just basically a paint by numbers Abyss match. Abyss did the same shit pretty much every match. He was the hyper violent big dude. I don't know why he felt the need to be that, but it is what it is. So there was times when Abyss actually was getting off, though. There was times where he was actually doing his thing, but it wasn't often. It wasn't often that he was out here getting loose. It's beyond personal after he tried to drown this man in his own pool. That's crazy. I like that, though. Storyline. Story. This back when Abyss couldn't buy a fucking win, too. Like, he was trying to be world champion so bad, he didn't know what to do with himself. They killed Abyss when he finally became the world champion by disqualification. That was so dumb. I think he lost the belt the very next month. It was real stupid. Real dumbass booking. That's fire in the ass stupid booking. This is the only match on the show really where the cage makes sense. My man said painfully average. Wow. That's sad. you're attacking Abyss's character like this. He already got the damn thumbtacks and shit in his hands with the chain and everything. The fact that he's some kind of twisted Mick Foley Kane thing has always been hilarious to me. You know, it's always been sad too, because you know what creativity there was to be had with Abyss is lost in the fact that he was Foley-esque and coming across like a Kane ripoff. If Butch becomes Pete Dunne, we know who in charge. If we see Chad Gable in a long match, we'll know who in charge. I'm telling you, there's some Triple H traits that we'll know for sure if he's in charge when that happens. You know, Chad Gable makes an appearance, maybe Triple H is back in charge. But yeah, you're right. If we start seeing random changes or random call-ups, then we'll see. But my guess was that what's the name was right, and that they just gave the talent the day off, and kept some of the main event guys, and then gave them light duty. My opinion on e-girls, they exist because people are willing to pay them. That's it. The whole knocking the hustle kind of deal, it's hard to do that, because if I believe in a free market, and if you value what people do, you should pay them. But the fact that they just don't do anything and get paid is just female privilege. I mean, it just is what it is. There's no better way to put it. They benefit from having female privilege. Dudes want to see tits or cute neighborhood girl play video games, and that's about it. Whoa, this dude kicking and slipping and they're sliding down this ramp. What the hell? Oh yeah, Bushwhacker Butch did pass away. That was terrible. I was never a big fan of the Bushwhackers though. I just never got it. They're not even something I look back on fondly. Like I just don't get the Bushwhackers. I don't know what the gimmick is. They always wore army fatigues, and they licked children back in the days where that kind of stuff was not really frowned upon, because parents are looking at that like, these crazy wrestlers, they just go around licking on our children. Now people would have been like, oh, what are you, some kind of pedophile? But I didn't get it. It's still sad that he died, but it's weird that he's the same age as Vince. He was 78, wasn't he? 77, something like that. I know a lot of people, the Bushwhackers are an interesting case though. Because when you think about the Bushwhackers, and people say, oh, the Sheep Herders, they were an ultra-violent tag team. You'd be like, yeah, but people remember the Bushwhackers for being like these kooky uncles or whatever. Whoa, yeah. Like, whatever the Sheep Herders was would not have worked in WWF. I can pretty much tell you that. It wouldn't have worked. I don't know what my thing was, it'll never actually change. I don't know what the Bushwhackers are. Like, what does it mean? How does the name fit the gimmick? And what is the gimmick? Like, who thought to come up with, whoa, yeah? I was like, where did that come from? Like, I know Vince couldn't have been daydreaming about idiot characters who go whoa and yay and run each other's heads into each other and stuff, licking babies and stuff. Like, where did this come from? I don't know. Oh, these Christian chops to the head are kind of nutty. They fighting out amongst the people. They all out here amongst the people. Something tells me that they really should have invested. TNA really should have invested in their product, man. I can almost guarantee you that there's probably some financial malfeasance with TNA. There's got to be. Got to be some financial malfeasance with TNA. Because the company has been around all this time, and has had financial problems on more than one occasion. But the company never really grew. Like it grew a little bit in the Hogan years, you know, because they were forced to invest a little bit more money in the product. But this is TNA's fourth year in. The AEW's fourth year in, they're about to run Wembley Stadium. They're not gonna fill it, but they're about to run Wembley Stadium. This is TNA's fourth year in. It's still with the Impact Zone, 900 people. They run monthly pay-per-views. They got a TV show, but it's Fox Sports Net, I think, at this point. They ain't moved the Spike yet. They didn't have the connections or the money Tony Khan had either, so it's a different situation. AJ3, it's too bad we lost Jay Briscoe. And can you imagine the Briscoe brothers doing the modern era Bushwhackers? I think a lot of people made that joke that that's what they would have done if they had went to WWE. They ended up being the Bushwhackers. That's because of Mark's missing fronts. Speaking of which, Super Card of Honor. I did watch that show, and a lot of people didn't even ask me about it, but I did watch that show. Y'all may not have known that Tony Khan actually did exactly what WWE did. But Cody, he did the same thing with both Mark Briscoe and Eddie Kingston on the same show. But it got overshadowed by what happened with Cody. But he had pretty much built up Eddie Kingston to be the guy who was going to beat Claudio for the title, and then he lost. And they had built up Mark Briscoe as being this guy who, he even dedicated the match to his brother, and he still lost to Samoa Joe. I wouldn't say the middle of the show, but it was like a main event spot, but it was not like a co-main event spot. So people were kind of dour on Super Card of Honor, even though the Commander Vikingo match was like, human pinball. But a lot of people really gave Triple H grief and it must be Vince. Vince did this. I'm like, wait a minute. You literally just saw your Booker of the Year do the same thing. He wasn't ready to switch the titles yet. He wasn't ready to switch the title yet. So he didn't. That's smart. Don't feel like you gotta make a move. And you don't have to. What's my favorite TNA year? Oh man, that's a good question. It might be 2005, 2006 TNA. I think when Samoa Joe was unbeatable, when AJ Styles was there, was in the X Division cooking, low key cooking, Christopher Daniels cooking. Top of the card, not so much because you had Jeff Jarrett and Raven, and because this is not Raven's debut in TNA, this is Raven's re-debut in TNA. But I had fun with like Fox Sports era TNA and some of the days on Spike. The ceiling for Carmelo Hayes. It's interesting that you would say that because I was thinking the same thing. Literally, somebody posted a picture of Carmelo Hayes from 2020, I think, or was it early 2021, where he was adding he at AEW asking if they were hiring shortly before he got the NXT contract. And people were talking about how Tony Khan fumbled that because he was ready at that point in time, even though I think that he probably wasn't ready. Like the guy got better over the 2 or 3 years he's been in NXT. But it was interesting that he even considered going to AEW. But as far as what his ceiling is, man, that guy is incredibly talented. The only thing that's going to hold him back is that he's short. Like the thing is, he does not have the presence that WWE wants. He's got the charisma. You know, he's not super uber charismatic. You know, I think Trick Williams got him beat in the charisma portion, but in terms of having charisma and style and skill and creativity, I think Carmelo Hayes can get there. You know, he's incredible. He's a really great talent. You know, I'm not really a big fan of the whole basketball part of the angle, but whatever. You know, everybody got their thing. I just feel like if he wasn't the size of a cruiserweight, he definitely would have a bigger ceiling. Like my thing, man, if Vince truly back, like Von Wagner or like Zion Quinn gonna have to come out of nowhere and squash somebody. You know, that's how I feel. If Vince is really back, then you know Liv Morgan gonna fuck around and beat Rhea Ripley on SmackDown or something like that. That's when you know Vince is back. You know. Did you think the main event Mafia 08 to 09 was booked too strong? Well, yeah, but you're supposed to book heel strongly. That's the goal, to make them people that need to be overcome. Now, you can go too far. Of course, you can crush all light at the end of the tunnel, which is where WWE is kind of right now. You know, they're kind of on the cusp of stomping out all life, and Roman will never be beaten ever by anybody. But you know, it's not really. I don't think that's true. I don't think he can be beaten by nobody. I think it will end up being him and Cody eventually. Because if it's gonna be somebody that Roman's never wrestled before, then I might not like who it's gonna end up being. You might not like that one at all. There might be somebody that nobody likes. Might fuck around and be Braun Breaker. No, no, it's going to end up being. I do believe it's going to be Cody though, because Roman has been avoiding rematches the last few years. You know, especially the last few months, rather, since 2021, he's kind of avoided doing rematches, unless it favors him. So for Cody to get a straight up rematch, something's going to have to happen, or you know, the Usos or whatever is banned from ringside or something like that. So we'll see. Vegeta Lover 92 thinks Carmelo Hayes is going to be a high mid Carter who might be WWE champion. It all depends on how they decide to put the package together. You know, is they going to keep him and Trick together? Because Trick Williams with him is a much better package than him by himself. I like Carmelo Hayes by himself. I like Trick Williams by himself. Separating them is not necessary right now. So I don't know. Vegeta Lover guarantees that Cody will win the Money in the Bank briefcase. And you know what? That could guarantee his rematch. You know, because Roman is going to avoid him. Maybe it's going to be Cody wins the Money in the Bank and calls his shot like Rob Van Dam did. I would love that. That would be great. You know, instead of doing the typical cash in where he slides in the ring, he tells Roman straight up, SummerSlam, you know, Detroit, Michigan, want the world title or whatever, and then he wins it. That'd be great. That'd be great. Be a good usage of Money in the Bank. I wouldn't keep the belt on him for long though, even if he did win it. I'd take it from him like a month or two. AJ3, remember the Rocky 3 pitch that Moxley wanted to see him Punk do, but he turned it down. Could that work for Brock and Cody? No, because the whole point of Clubber Lang is that he's hungry and he's a killer. He's a monster. And, you know, Rocky has gotten fat off of his success, and he's wrestling cupcake opponents and he's dodging me. If you were to do a storyline like that, it would have to be with somebody who has not been world champion before. Like it could work with Cody, and let's say, if you had like let's say you had like a hot Braun Breaker or something like that, and he's a heel, and he's working on the underneath, and he's destroying guys, wrecking them, and then Cody's been on top for a while, and you know that's looking kind of smooth, and then Braun starts yelling at him, you've been ducking me, you've been ducking me, and then everybody's like Cody's gotten soft and all that kind of stuff. That could work, that could work, but it's got to be a heel that hasn't won the title and that's been pushed as being a killing machine, and a baby face that is kind of coasting, not doing too much. Because Rocky has to lose. That's the thing. Like he has to lose the first fight. So if you get the champion, whoever, if you do the Rocky 3 story, the guy has to win. So it has to be somebody you want to be the world champion first, and then you have to rebuild the champion after he loses. He had to rebuild himself and come back even stronger and even better or whatever. What is Christian doing? Oh shit! Ooh wee! It looked like it hurt. That's what you call reckless. He didn't even stand up there, and he didn't even measure it. He just got up there and jumped. I think it would be great. I'm just gonna throw this out there. I don't actually mean it, but I'm just saying in terms of making people feel good. If that's the goal, then the person who should beat Roman should be Big E. If it's all about making people feel good, it should be Big E. Big E comes back from his injury, wrestles Roman one-on-one and beats him. I don't care where. If Big E can work, that would be that would be a good. People would lose it. I wouldn't do that because I don't like Big E that much. I think he was okay as WWE champion. He didn't really get out of the box, but if you really wanted to do a feel-good story, a comeback story, Big E coming back from a broken neck, that would be crazy. That would be crazy. Yep, Cody already did it with Brody Lee. Yeah, it said that's Rocky 3. That's what he was trying to tell people. What Moxley was trying to say. Let's see. Do you think Uncle Lee? Who the hell is Uncle Lee? Who beats Cody then? That's a good question. I probably would go with Drew McIntyre. I think if Cody has a baby face, becomes the champion, for starters, he can't be the champion too long. He should already know the dangers of holding the hot potato for too long. Especially if he wants to be the superhero that, he truly believes that he is. He's not going to hold the belt for too long. He's going to drop it. So at that point, he either continues to booking himself like Dusty, or he does I hate to put it this way, the smarter gimmick and book himself like Hulk Hogan. And that is to make friends with guys and then have your friends turn on you. Oh, holy shit. What is going on? Why did he grab the referee? He could have just shook the cage. He didn't have to grab the ref. And just throw the ref into the cage. What the hell is going on here? I thought Christian was bleeding. He is not. Christian is a main event guy in TNA, though. Oh, Keith Lee. Oh. I think if they wanted Keith Lee to be the world champion, he'd be in the conversation by now. I think he's just gotten bigger and grayer, and they really have let things down. Heel Drew is perfect, but when Survivor Series, I wouldn't put the belt on him in Survivor Series, but I probably would turn him heel around that time. Survivor Series is a good time to flip some shit. So yeah, I would definitely probably have Drew turn on him. But you also got to consider that you got at least 3 solid stories with Cody with the belt. Drew, Randy. Randy's a big one. Randy might actually be like the next WrestleMania opponent for Cody, if we're being honest. I would do probably that. And I would probably do that at WrestleMania. The Cody and Randy match. That feels like a WrestleMania match to me because they've got history. So I would do that. But you got Drew, who I would do first, and probably have be the guy to take the belt from him. Probably had Cody win it back before WrestleMania, but make his opponent be Randy Orton. And then we tell the story of Randy Orton and Cody, and then maybe if Cody isn't the champion at that point in time, maybe you have Cody retire Randy Orton. That would be hard body. That would be another good response. Like if Cody can make it to War Games, and then you have the Bloodline versus Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, Drew McIntyre, and Sheamus. You know, just to flesh out that thing. Then after the match, Drew wrecks Cody. That could work. That could really work. How should Braun Breaker be booked as a heel? I mean, I think it speaks for itself. I mean, look at him. My whole thing was I am just obsessed with the idea that he should be a heel team with the Creed brothers. To me, that's what he should be. They should be sadistic assholes that enjoy hurting other people and doing just mayhem. That's what to me, that's what it feels like, high energetic mayhem. Where they're just, grabbing people in submission holds or throwing guys through tables or chucking them all over the place. It'd be great. Yeah, Christian ain't doing no damn thumbtack spot. You do the thumbtack spot in your face, which is every goddamn Abyss match is his plan backfires and he falls into the thumbtacks, or that's just the psychology of his match. Decent finish though. The kill switch onto the thumbtacks, decent finish. The new, you think James Storm should have been a champion longer before losing it to Bobby Roode? No. It was perfect. It was perfect. The only problem is he didn't get it back, but it was perfect. This is the thing, not being champion a long time is what makes people want it more. Right? So they win the title, and then he does the right thing, gives his best friend the first title shot, and then the title becomes between them. Roode fucks him out of the belt. Even if you could have gave Roode that long title run, still could have gave it to him, and then at the very least, give the belt back. That's all people ask for. Give the fucking belt back. They just no Austin Aries or whatever the fuck. I'm like, come on, man. Get out of here. We're going to finish off the Roode Storm feud and what was that? I Quit, Last Man Standing, whatever. But it's not going to be for the title. Come on, man. No, we got to have like Jeff Hardy and Austin Aries or whatever. Get the fuck out of here, man. What are you doing? You're not smart. That's not smart. Don't do that. Then Randy wins the Elimination Chamber. Either that or either you could have Randy win the Elimination Chamber. I wouldn't say the Rumble. Or maybe you do a tournament or something like that and Randy wins it. Or you could just have it be a straight up challenge. I don't know. Triple threat match, whatever. However you want to do it. But I think, or you could just have like Randy put his career on the line. If Randy can't continue to go, then I think Cody is the guy to retire him. I would like that. I think that would be great for everybody involved. It'd be an important opponent for Randy. It'd be a big show like WrestleMania. It would work. I think Randy and Cody is the WrestleMania match that we go to next. I don't think we do Roman and Cody at WrestleMania again. I don't think that match was big enough to run twice. It was more of the novelty of can Cody win the belt. You know, I wouldn't do that twice. Mario was awesome. I'm gonna go see it this weekend probably. I might go with my brother and we go see it. Two grown men going to see the Mario movie. Fuck it, I don't care. Because I was thinking about bootlegging it, but I also want to see it in the theater. But all the theaters here are kind of garbo, you know. Last time I went to the movie, what did we see? What was it like? It was the Batman, I think. Yeah, I think it was Batman. You said in the NXT video that the fans turned heel during the '90s. Yeah, I mean, what it is the fans don't want to see you be a good guy. They want you to be a dick. You know that's become what the fans prefer. And if you ever just are a baby face, the fans hate you for it. You're hated for being a baby face, a pure baby face. You're hated for it. You know. Now Cody's getting away with it right now because everybody hates Roman. But as soon as he gets the belt, that's going to have to change. Like very few pure baby faces are allowed to stay in their appropriate alignment. Like Bryan Danielson got to stay in his appropriate alignment because everybody loved the Yes movement and all that kind of stuff. But other than that, you start hearing a smattering of boos here and there. You know, it starts trickling in because people are like, boo, I don't like the baby face, boo. I like the heel first. I like the heel more. It's like we're just stuck with that situation. You know, and it was basically like Brett was turning heel anyway, like he was starting into how long is this guy gonna strangle this man before somebody do something? Come on, refs. Everybody's standing off to the side, just watching him strangle this guy. But yeah, the fans basically decided they're gonna just turn on wrestlers when they're too goody. Look at what happened to Bayley. There was no reason for the fans to turn on Bayley, but they did. And everybody knew they were gonna do it. You know, I called this shit when she was in NXT. I was like, man, they're gonna eat Bayley alive on the main roster. Sure enough. What? Boo. What? And she's trying to, guys, let me explain. Boo. Get out of here. I don't want to hear that. But you know, the fans just decided the show is theirs. They're gonna take over and they're gonna turn heel, and that's it. You know, they're gonna flip on you. Again, that bipolar shit. What is R-Truth saying?
You know what's up? War, that's what's up.
AJ Styles?
You too,
Sting,
WG Phil.
an icon in this business who could have wrestled anywhere that he wanted, and he chose TNA. Now, as far as Lethal Lockdown is considered, he could have picked any team that he wanted, and he chose this one. So with that being said, we're not about to let you down.
I know.
They don't call me the War Machine for nothing. In 6 sides.
Fuck Rhino. Fuck Rhino. I don't want to hear nothing Rhino got to say. AJ3, the one thing I hate about Dixie Carter being in charge of TNA's booking decisions, put the title on a midget instead of a guy who's been there since day one next to AJ Styles. Chris Sabin? Because Chris Sabin was there for a long time too. Chris Sabin had no business being a world champion. I'm sorry. He had no business being world champion. Oh, it's Sting. Damn it. I missed Sting's promo. He just yelled into the microphone. And that was it. That's what I was listening to this for. I was listening to this for Sting. Braun Breaker should be like Scott from WCW 2000. What do you mean? He's going to get into backstage fights and completely lose touch with reality? It'd be entertaining, but for Christ's sake, we need him to have some level of sanity. He said he's surprised that Brad didn't also attack the fans. Like, I'm sorry, modern day fans who are now part of the show feel like they're better bookers than the guys who actually been in the business. Well, it's not even that. It's just that it's bipolar and two-faced booking. Like, it's one thing to like, I consistently don't like certain things. I don't care who does it. WWE, AEW, TNA, doesn't matter. When people are like, what happened on Tuesday, where people were booing Brian Breaker, they booed when his theme music played, they booed when he came out there. He shook Carmelo hands, Hayes' hand. He cheered that. When Carmelo wanted to raise his hand, they booed that. And then when he attacked Carmelo, they cheered. And then when he speared him, they chanted one more time. Like, that kind of shit, man. Like, what is that? Like, what is that really? That's horse shit, bro. That kind of bipolar shit, it's not even the booking at that point. The booking was perfectly fine. He needed to turn heel. He needed that more than, like they say, he needed that more than the call up. He needed this heel run. I think he needed to have a stable, though. I think him and the Creed brothers should just run roughshod over NXT and just be the guys, That's what I think. That's just me, though. I like them as a trio. I think they rule. How do we get back to pre-Monday Night Wars era of babyface and heels? Like, your only option is to weed out the motherfuckers who started this shit in the first place. But you're not going to be able to do that because they're lifers. So they're in for the long haul, It says Daniel Bryan immediately beat John Cena one-on-one, then immediately got cashed in on, then he won again, then got screwed by Shawn. That's how you build a baby face, That's how you build a baby face. That got everybody behind him. It may even gotten them so far behind them that they were forced to change their WrestleMania plans. They probably had plans. I know they had plans to do other things, but they probably was going to end up having to go back to Daniel Bryan anyway. Just because he wasn't going to win the title at WrestleMania didn't mean he wasn't going to get it back. But that's what you do. Would it have been better for them? And then look what happened when Bryan did get the belt. He went into a horror movie storyline with Kane that everybody hates, and then he got hurt. And that was it. That was it for the run. That was the entire run. It's like, that sucks. He finally got his title run when he turned heel, though. Like, that was great. But he finally got the title run that he truly deserved, which is the best part of like 2016, 2017 SmackDown. No, that was in 2018, wasn't it? 2018, 2019 SmackDown? That's when Kofi Kingston thing happened in 2019. So it was like 2017 to 2019, Daniel Bryan. He was tremendous. He was very good. Of course, the crowd started to like him again, though. That's what they do. Why do you think guys like Super Cena get booed at first? Because they usually have a squeaky clean image, and they win all the time, so they make their matches kind of predictable. It's the same thing that, like, people love a winner. That's why when people say wins and losses don't matter, it's true, but it's also not true. It's one of those very confusing things. Because people, if you win enough matches, people will get behind you. You win a lot, you win all the time, people will get behind you. The question, of course, is, will they stay behind you if you lose? And that's the problem that Cody's having. Cody came into WWE, and he was undefeated. He was beating everybody. He even beat Solo Sikoa, who nobody had beat before. And of course, people are going to get behind you if you always fucking win. People's favorite basketball team is whatever team is winning the most games that year. Whoever's scoring the most points that year, that's their favorite player. How do you break that, though? How do you make sure that it's about them and not, hey, he's just undefeated? You beat him. Find a creative way to beat him. So they beat Cody. So now it's more about Cody than it is about the wins and losses. So at that point, if he managed to stay where he is in terms of overness and continues to sell merchandise, like I saw that he sold more merchandise than anybody over WrestleMania weekend. At that point, you really should consider putting the belt on him. I mean, if you had no, which I believe that they would have anyway. But let's say, for instance, you're one of those people who say he shouldn't win the title. He's a top merch seller over WrestleMania weekend, even over Roman Reigns. And they had got 4 different versions of the same Bloodline shirt, you know? And he sold more merchandise than Roman Reigns did. More than John Cena, who wrestled on that show. Definitely should reconsider putting the belt on him. Definitely should reconsider putting the belt on him. That's if that stuff is true, though. I remember The Rock getting booed back in 03, then the fans cheered for him again until The Rock mocked him. Yeah, they do that shit all the time, man. They try to get involved with your story and wait a minute, this 5-minute block that's too damn long. Wait a minute, I guess it's just the first one. Okay, never mind. The environment's champion, Bryan Danielson, he was so good. Watching old Attitude Era and Ruthless Aggression era shows, I wonder why fans constantly stuck up the middle fans and stuff like that. So what is that supposed to prove? I'm kind of proper. Like I don't really like all of that middle finger stuff in pictures and tongue out stuff in pictures. That shit kind of corny to me. It seems like that's something everybody does. It doesn't seem to have any kind of motivation to it or character to it or individuality to it. I always told myself when I become middle class, I'm gonna smile in all my pictures. Let you know I made it. I want everybody to know I got all my teeth. I made it. People love Roman, but now getting tired of it, claiming they never did. It's been 3 years. That is a long time in American television for something to be the same that long. So that's why you see people start talking about, oh, he should lose it and win it right back. Just to break that run, just to, create some intrigue. At the same time, though, I'm looking at this and I think I understand what they're doing. It's not that they just want Roman to have 1,000 days, yada, yada, yada. This is it for Roman. He's probably not going to ever win the title again after this. He probably will never get another title run after this. This is probably it. He is probably on the verge of retirement. And it seems that there are people who understand that, and then there are people who do not. Okay? A run like this, he can't follow this, right? So this is like he's going to have this bloodline run, and then he's going to go home, and we probably won't see him again for a while. And you know how wrestlers are. They don't really announce their retirement. He might just fade away. And if he has a retirement match, I'll be surprised. But I could definitely see Roman basically after this title run is over, calling it a day. Just saying, I did my job. I made the next guy. I'll pop in here and there, WrestleManias, Saudi Arabia, whatever. But week to week, nope. He's already not doing it. Like he's already not doing the week to week TV. So that tells me right there he's 1 foot out the door already. I'm not mean he's running off to Hollywood. I mean that he's probably made enough money right now that he doesn't need to do this anymore. And maintaining his body and taking the time away from his family. He doesn't need to do this shit forever. Once this run is over, I don't think anybody wants to see Roman with the belt again. And we probably won't ever have to see it again. So it doesn't matter how long it is. I think that they just know that at the end of the bloodline story, Roman is probably done. And I don't think that most other people, it's like the streak almost, when people saw that Undertaker's streaks get broken, they're like, okay, well, naturally he's retiring. I think it's probably going to be a similar thing with Roman. That when it's over, Everybody's going to be like, well, that was it. He just had the run of a lifetime. Now it's over. He'll never get that run again. It would make no sense for him to ever have that kind of run again because you're going to at the end of the bloodline. So maybe you run bloodline as a babyface, but Roman won't be there. So that's what I'm thinking. That's why they're holding on to him so tightly now. It's because they know it's over. You know, they almost never got him back from the pandemic. You know, he almost didn't come back then. So they're like, oh, they're gonna go ahead and let him run with it, and then he's gonna go home. That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking this is it. But unlike Hogan, he's gonna go out on top. You know, in terms of his one great last run, and that's gonna be it. Theory wasn't going ready. Yeah, he completely wasn't ready, not at all. And that's going to be the question. Now that he's lost, is he going to continue selling tons of merchandise? Is people going to stay behind him after he lost? My thing is, yes, I believe they will because he still cuts strong promos. He's still going to work strong matches. People were still into him after the night after he lost. You know, when he lost, people were still cheering for him. He still got massive pops that night on the Raw after WrestleMania. People haven't given up hope on him. People think that you know it's really weird. Like these folks are supposed to be. What bothers me is not the anime avatars and the kids and stuff like that. I mean, they don't know any better. What bothers me is a lot of the older fans who know better, who are egging that shit on. You know, like these dudes know that in typical NWA booking, classic territory wrestling booking, the babyface does not win the title in his first shot. You get the crowd super hype, but he doesn't win the belt. They've done this shit to the Von Erichs 100 times. They did it to Dusty 100 times. It was Flair's MO. You come to your territory, heat it up, and he doesn't drop the belt. He gets out of town with the belt. Now, how the promoter manages to do that is one way or the other. You know, they may have somebody turn heel, like down in Mid-South where they had a Ric Flair, Ted DiBiase match. Ted DiBiase was a heel. They had another heel appear, asked Ted DiBiase to step aside. He said no. They ran Ted DiBiase's face into a ring post, busted him open. So that turned Ted DiBiase babyface, and he fought Ric Flair bloody. You know, still managed to lose, but he started, you know, so you spin Ted DiBiase off with this new guy. You know, what happens with the Von Erichs is usually Ric Flair gets pinned in the middle of the ring, but he got thrown over the top rope 2 minutes before that, and over the top rope is a disqualification. The referee reverses the decision. Ric Flair is still the champion. You know, Ric Flair skates out of the big stadium show with the title. They know how this shit works, man. They know how this works. It's not. They just don't see it on like. It's weird that how it's magical, classic booking when it's 40 years ago. It's stupid and you know and everything when they do it today. It's like you know they're doing the same shit they've been doing, man. Giving the guy the title on his very first try. It typically starts more problems than it really fixes. Look at Diesel, right? Diesel, you know, he wasn't undefeated. He had lost the Intercontinental Championship already, but they had blamed that on Shawn Michaels' super kick. But he beat Bob Backlund 8 seconds for the belt. You would think he'd been super over. He was, but he was one of the lowest drawing champions in history. You know. They struck while the iron was hot. They put the belt on him while he was popular. He was one of the lowest drawing champions in history. Sometimes it happens that way, man. You gotta make smart decisions. If you trust the talent, then yeah, you know, Should Hogan have beaten Bill Goldberg? Probably not. Okay, maybe not. You're right on that one. But Cody is not Bill Goldberg. It's not. It's two different characters. You know. I would say Goldberg shouldn't even been in the Georgia Dome that night to win the title. It wasn't the right time. You saved that up for a big pay-per-view. They saved it up for a Nitro because they figure, oh well, it's the hometown boy, where he played football, and it's Nitro. Let's go ahead and do it now. And I can understand the mentality behind it because you're on a ratings war. Long-term plan, though, is that it's stupid. Hogan won the title on his first shot. He beat Iron Sheik. That worked out because, Vince made it work. He smashed Hogan over. He's Warrior 2, smashed Warrior over. But, sometimes it just doesn't work. Sometimes you got to give him that L first. But the Lex Luger thing made no sense because it was a disqualification win. And, people acting like he actually did win the title, which was, so pathetic. But this is basically typical territory booking when it comes to Cody not winning the title. There's tons of stories about, this is how the NWA Championship works. And yeah, there's little drops here and there. Flair dropped the belt for 2 weeks, or he'll drop the belt for 30 days, and then he'll go back and win it back. Yeah, that stuff happened. But you're in a situation right now where can you really afford to do something like that? If he did win, people would have booed him for sure. Remember when MJF won the AEW title just for AEW fans wanting Eddie Kingston to dethrone him? Remember when they wanted Eddie Kingston to win the title? Oh, look how great it would be if Eddie Kingston won the title. They just did that shit again on the Ring of Honor. Oh, Eddie Kingston should be the champion. Oh, really? If you say so. What's your thoughts on the whole older generation versus younger generation stuff? I think both equally suck. Well, it depends on what generations we're talking about. I think, generally speaking, everybody did their own damage. And some are currently doing damage. Some have done irreparable damage. Some continue to do damage right now. And the damage that they doing is not good and will not be fixed. He did week to week for 10 years. Roman has one last face run. I think the Bloodline will probably run as a face at some point, but it'll probably be more of a nostalgia thing than, a regular run. I can see it being a special. Let's do this for Saudi. Let's do it for SummerSlam. Let's do it for WrestleMania kind of gimmick. Once it's over, it's going to be like playing the hits. The question I'm going to say is like, the Usos just had the run of a lifetime. And once the Bloodline is over, how do you, like I asked the question at the beginning of the Bloodline, how do you put Jay just back in the group? You just put Jay right back into the tag team, And now we're in the same situation again. It's like, okay, Jay Uso is a breakout star of this angle. Do we just keep him in the Usos forever? Or do we at one point get him out of that group? And I think in a perfect world, Jay would be the guy that would beat Roman for the belt. Oh, shit. Oh, that tower suplex was ugly. And AJ Styles landed right on his shoulder. Yikes. Wait a minute, what's this now? I still don't know why Luger beat Hogan before the Sting match. It ruined the story. They were just trying to blow off some of Hogan's heat and put some put a little bit of unpredictability out there. But yeah, Luger got the title win that Sting should have got. Luger fought off the NWO, racked Hogan, and won clean. That was it. It was like, wow, it was so decisive. You know, if you watch that, it was a great moment, huge moment. He was champion for a week though. So, and that was the last time he ever won that title. That was it. He never won the title again. So he didn't get a run. He got a moment, and then that was it. You know? And yeah, it is about the moment sometimes. Which is why people say shit like Sami Zayn should have won the title and then lost it the next night. Like, I don't know about that. Playing hot potato with the belt doesn't do anybody any favors, bro. God damn, Scotty. He's just trying to kill R-Truth. Yeah, Jay has to turn face. You know, I think that he has to turn face. I like the idea of Jey Uso being a solo act. I like that idea. Eric Bischoff has to be the inventor of instant gratification booking. Yeah, it was yeah. I wouldn't say he invented it. He certainly mastered it. You know, him and Vince Russo were masters of it. Vince Russo had just a little bit more couth than Bischoff. Here comes the Stinger. Like people nowadays, they don't appreciate the underdog story like they used to. You know, like people are talking about Kofi Mania. Look at Sting; he's so good. They talk about the Kofi Mania thing, but they focus so much on how it ended. It's like it was never meant to be. It was something that was so magical. It was literally pulled from the fire. It was never supposed to happen. You know? Never. It was not in the plans at all for Kofi Kingston to be the world champion. So the fact that he won the title at all is a miracle. So who cares if he lost it in 6 seconds? He was never supposed to fucking have it in the first place. You know? And for him, it's probably something he never expected to actually happen. So I look at things a little bit differently. Yeah, we could have done it better. It would have been nice if it had got a rematch or something, but it was never meant to be. He was never supposed to be champion in the first place. You know? Back to our regularly scheduled program. Stinger ain't here killing these dudes. He stacked them like cordwood and then Stinger splashed them. Then he's calling down the cage top. Even if Sammy won the belt and dropped it the next SmackDown, fans would still cry asking for it. Yeah. It'd be Daniel Bryan all over again. Wait a minute. What is going on here? Why would you do that? I remember when they did it with Christian. Do y'all remember that? When they did that shit with Christian when he won the world title in a ladder match against Alberto Del Rio, and then he lost the belt on the very first SmackDown? That was one of the few times I was actually emotionally invested in the story. Like, I was legit on message boards having a fit. Like, I was on message boards acting a fool. Because I was like, man, how could you do that to Christian? Like, he literally bust his ass and he finally gets the title and you took it from him immediately and give it to fucking Randy Orton. I was so mad. But I didn't get it. It made perfect sense at the end, though. That Christian had busted his ass his entire career, been a fighting champion, went too far, lost his belt, and then lost his fucking mind. It was good. You know, it was good stuff. I didn't like that he won it back by DQ. That sucked. But at least for the most part, it was the catalyst for his heel turn. So that was fine. Brock has coincidentally beat every African American champion. He didn't beat Lashley. He was just the reason why Lashley lost. If they did the donk on Lashley's head, he was like, "Oof, I can't continue," which is stupid because you know he could continue. Top Dog, I was watching Raw in '97. He didn't beat Big E either. Big E, he lost the title because somebody else got beat. Was watching Raw in '97. Owen was super over in late '97 after Brett left. Yeah, that's true. The Black Heart era, he was nutty over, and they you could tell that there was some clique politics involved with this because he went from he was supposed to wrestle Shawn. I don't remember that, and then Shawn ended up getting that shit nixed, and he ended up wrestling fucking Triple H at WrestleMania. Now he wasn't going to wrestle Shawn at WrestleMania because Shawn was always going to wrestle Austin, but he was supposed to have like a pay-per-view match with Shawn, I think. So it was the right time. It was the right time for Owen. You know, he got derailed hard. The clique just pushed hard, threw him into the fucking field. And I think if Brett would have stuck to his idea. Wait, I thought Brock pinned somebody else at day one. He pinned Big E. Wasn't it like a fatal 5-way or some shit? That'd have been a weird decision. That's a weird decision to have him beat Big E when you could have had him bend somebody else. Because like literally a bunch of other people in that fucking match. I thought somebody else got beat though, but if it was Big E, then that sucks. Sucks for Big E, that's for sure. Why is Sting got a guitar? Oh, he's got his bat now. And here comes Jarrett being stupid. We've already seen what he's gonna do, Jarrett. He's gonna he's gonna deflect the guitar with the bat. Smart guy. It was oh, look at this. This kind of heel gimmick where you're chicken shit in the corner. That's kind of that's Dominic. He's owning that space right now. Who wins King of the Ring? I think Gunther wins King of the Ring. I think that'd be a good push for him. The question: who wins Queen of the Ring? That's going to be the question. Charlotte apparently is on vacation again. I think she only came back to wrestle Rhea Ripley anyway, which is why she didn't do too much during her run. I think she only really came back to wrestle Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania, and now she's gone again. So the question is, who wins the Queen of the Ring tournament? I'm thinking maybe make some NXT chick. I also think that Mandy Rose will be back soon. Wow, that was a nice little spot right there. How the hell did they get a ladder up there? It must have already been up there because I didn't see nobody take a ladder up there. Do you think Charlotte is going to retire? I think she eventually is going to. She said in her biography that people are saying that she's getting old, but she feels like she's just getting started. She's just learning the business and having fun with it. So I don't think she's going to retire anytime soon, but I think they're going to end up having to phase her out. I think Rhea Ripley is just, I think this was literal. Like she literally just handed over her spot. But that's the thing about the 4 Horsewomen. They've been around since like 2010, all of them. So Sasha Banks leaving was good for her because she was already being phased out because of her attitude and all that kind of stuff. Bayley is trying to groom the next generation, but she has no eye for talent, apparently. Charlotte is in and out because we definitely need a break from Charlotte every once in a while. But the company loves her so much and that they continue to, throw her in these situations, even when she's probably not wanted. And Becky Lynch has, I hate to put it this way, she's broken into a new stratosphere as far as women wrestlers are concerned. Like she's like the only woman wrestler ever who has like her own bus that WWE pays for. They treat her like a top star, like she's one of the top male wrestlers. But all of these with the exception of Sasha Banks, all of these chicks are 40 or in the neighborhood of 40. And it's time to start replacing them. So, I can see Charlotte retiring in a few years, but I think she's gonna want to stick around for a little while though, because she does enjoy doing this, and she says she wants to do stuff with Andrade on TV. So I think she's probably gonna hang around until she can actually do that. Oh, Bobby Roode taps out in the Scorpion Deathlock. I like that AJ Styles did his big spot, but that's all he did. In this whole match, he he jumped off of that the dangling ceiling thing through a table, and that was it that he did the whole match. She just turned 37. Okay. Yeah, because I know that she and Becky Lynch are in the same age bracket. So that means Becky is either 38 or 37 too. Or 36. One of those two. All right. TNA pay-per-view was pretty good. I've seen it quite a few times, but I still find new things about it every time I see it. Bayley is 33. Oh yeah, she got a little bit left. She got a little bit left in her. I like Bayley too, man. I think it's time for Bayley to go back to being a babyface though. I think she's run her course as a heel. She needs to be a babyface for a little bit. I would do it perfectly. I would just have Damage Control turn on her. And I wouldn't have it be like some kind of, horrible thing. I would just say like they tell her that they don't need her anymore. Maybe I know Dakota Kai would have to do the talking, or maybe have a new leader of Damage Control who takes over and kicks Bayley out. Something like that. That'd probably be better. What's my favorite Owen Hart moment? Well, clearly his heel turn was my favorite. He kicked Brett's leg out of his leg. Owen 3:16. I just broke your neck. Owen Hart with the insecurity to Shawn Michaels that put Shawn Michaels down and out. That's the great thing about that roster is it wasn't large. It wasn't a big roster. So guys would have like multiple moments. Owen in the cage with Brett. Owen in the cage with Neidhart rather. Talking about Brett. Just so many. Owen Bulldog, Raw, the first ever European title match. So good. Just tremendous. There's just so many Owen Hart stories. Do I think Rey should turn heel? I don't think Rey Mysterio should ever be a heel. I don't think that's blasphemy to even suggest that Rey Mysterio should try to work heel. He's Ricky Steamboat. You just don't do it. And I know he's dabbled in WCW with the filthy animals of being a heel, but I don't think so. I think people like Rey too much to want to boo him. Nobody wants to actually boo him. Plus, he's so small and sympathetic. It probably wouldn't work anyway, unless he was, a chicken shit heel, which is essentially what Dominic does. He want to cut in on his son's gimmick. Because Dominic is getting the fuck over with this thing. All right. I need to use the bathroom and I'm tired. Hopefully you guys watched TNA with me, even though we didn't even really talk too much about the show. We basically we chopped it up a little bit. But I appreciate everybody, man. Thank you guys for your time. I'll talk to you guys later, man. Peace out.